Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, no matter where you're tuning in from right around the world. Welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. This is the 2K Cup. It's round 6 of the season. Both splits being broadcasted for you live tonight from the Tsukuba circuit in Japan. A short, sharp dash around this 2.04 kilometer racetrack with just 12 turns and very little overtaking opportunity means qualifying is going to be crucial. And the racing very, very tight. My name is Ryan Jones. Alongside me for this one, Wei-Han Chan returns to the comms box after 2 weeks in an isolation camp. And Jake Kennedy is also here, unfortunately, behind the scenes. Wei-Han, this is a very tight track, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Look, I think there are many, however, there are many good car track combinations on the iRacing service. I would still think that this is one of them, Tsukuba and MX5. Now, this track is located at Shimotsuma, just outside of Tsukuba City in Japan, and it is very much part of the Japanese auto culture where enthusiasts and tuning companies alike face one another off in events such as Time Attack that this track has made all famous. This track measures just around 2.05 kilometers long or 1.27 miles long. It's known to be much tighter than many other tracks we've seen in the service, with the longest part of the circuit measuring only 437 meters long. That is that backstretch. And this is going to kind of create a rinse and repeat rhythm that leaves drivers without any room to stretch their legs.
Certainly does. And let's take a look at the championship standings because it is round number 6 of 8. I believe round 8 will be a 6-hour Enduro too. Let's get them up on our screen because it is a very tight championship that we had coming out of last round. And there it is, James Watson with a 14-point buffer back to Matthew Smith. And then Warren Crowther, Zach Thompson, and Alistair Hawkins are all pretty close in the battle for 3rd place as well. So going to be interesting to see how that little battle unfolds over today and the next few races. But of course that is in those 5 drivers are all in the main split, of which 3 drivers from this split can race their way into the top 3 after race 2 will book their spot. So tell us about the race format here today.
Because the race format, we do have one qualifying, but we've also got quite a couple of heat races. 2 heat races, in fact, 33 minutes each, which means that drivers will complete one race heat of 33 minutes before progressing to the next one with reverse grids. So this, again, it will be similar to past weeks. This will make things all the more interesting. Fixed setups. We've also got a 30x incident cap, following which there will be a disqualification.
Almost. It has been tweaked slightly, so 30 incidents now nets you a drive-through penalty. Every 5 incidents afterwards also nets you a drive-through penalty. But no disqualifications anymore for 30 incident points, which around this track, I'm sure the drivers are very happy about. Of course, none of this would be possible without our sponsors. StoreRight Logistics. You grow your business the smart way. Your partner for logistics needs right across New Zealand. Also, Cream Insurance coming on aboard in the last few rounds. And a new sponsor for today, IQ Security, also bringing up some support to the 2K Cup. Now, of course, the 2K Cup is a real-world series, entry-level motorsport category in New Zealand, where drivers can race on a car with a value of no more than $2,000. And with coronavirus impacting New Zealand as it is the rest of the world, they brought this E-Series League to our screens, and with it some very big names in New Zealand motorsport who will book their spot to race alongside them in the main split. as we now dive down and take a look at qualifying for the all-comers split. Who's going to get their day off to the best start? Remember, the top 10 will be inverted, so whoever puts it on pole will prove that they've got the pace, but they'll have to pass 10 cars off the start. Currently fastest is David Huizo.
Because David having a lap time of 1 minute 03296. This is quite a blistering lap time. And provisionally, the driver behind him is Callum Hedge. He is in second with a lap time of 1 minute 3.536. And we just got a new third position, provisional third, Wayne Losh, 103.591. Now, of course, with this circuit being such a short circuit, we will expect the lap times to be much, much closer to one another as usual. We could expect a maximum of 2 or maybe even 3 seconds separating the fastest driver and the driver towards the rear end of the grid.
Take a look at the guy in second place, Callum Hedge, finally running around under his own name and not, I'm presuming, his mum's credit card's name. I make that joke not because I have no idea who he is, but that is generally the story when someone has the wrong name. Even a champion of Australian national motorsport running around under his mum's name when first joining iRacing. That was Will Brown, of course, running around as and still is running around as Leanne Brown. So Callum Hedge has beat Brown to that, changing his name, and he's actually gone to the pole for now, 500ths over Huezo. Time should be very close at this track because it's a very short lap time, just a tick over a minute, which means our 33-minute race is going to be very close to 33 laps as Cullingford props up into 4th place. Can Huezo improve then as he runs down the back straightaway, the longest straight section on the racetrack, providing an opportunity for moves down into this long, sweeping final right-hander that turns you onto the main straight. He might be a little bit too wide there through the first part of the corner. Let's see if it pays off. Runs it out wide across the line. Not a good lap for him.
So he still sits in second place, but we have a look at Andrew Jackson. Oh, knocking a car off out wide. That's just a bit of a difficult situation for that car who had been knocked out. His lap time, he just set a lap time of 1 minute 03.831.
Angelo Mazuris running around for Eclipse Sim Sports, the pitbox.io Mazda MX5. Those are the cars of choice for this series that most closely resemble the sort of cars they run in the 2K Cup in real life. And Mazuris at the moment is currently 26. Now, that is a name that has piqued my interest. Behind the scenes, our director Jay, who is very up on everything that ever happens, apparently, should be able to help me out because he runs around in real life in A category. Now, he races something. None of us can remember what it is he races. So, if you talk for a few moments, and Wayhard, I'm going to go find Wikipedia.
Please do, man. Yeah, we are having a look at Andrew Jackson. He's come around with a 1 minute 4.064, which does not change his qualifying position.
Oh! Of course! He is he's supposed to be competing full-time in the 2020 Dunlop Super 2 Series. One step away from supercars. And he is competing for Triple Eight Race Engineering as well. So he's got himself lined up with a very good team. And Pitbox.io is sponsoring him in Super 2 as well. So there you go. He's 18 years old and he has a lot of talent. So keep an eye on him to potentially make his way out of the all-comers race and into the main event. Gonna need to improve though, because at the moment he's not in a good spot for the start of this race.
That's certainly great to hear. Now, I think one challenge that drivers might face as they go on racing here at Tsukuba, Joel Herbert, we just have a quick look at him, is not going to beat his previous fastest lap time, and that keeps him at 13th. Now, Ryan, I think another challenge with this circuit is that all the corners are just packed so tightly with each other. It's all a matter of rinsing and repeating all the corners, and I think that's going to be one of the challenges that will kind of be presented to the drivers as they try to make the best out of the race.
Yeah, most certainly. And Joel Herbert, 13th, trying to get himself up into maybe 10th place. That's all it needs to be to put himself on pole for the main event here. Or the main event. Race 1 of 2. It's the results from race 2 that decide who goes up to the main race. Top 3 will advance. Cameron Freeman, 23rd at the moment. Car spins in front of him. No issue for Freeman. He keeps that power down and comes across 3/10 off his previous best though. So going to need to find a little bit more time than that. 50 cars in this all-comers split. So quite a lot of people around a very short racetrack, which means lap traffic is 100% going to be an issue. And that is probably going to be one of the biggest story points of today.
Oh, sure, it's going to be an issue given the length of the track. It is going to be kind of a packed race to say the least. Perhaps some carnages that might ensue here and there. We do have a look at these two cars here.
Yeah, this is like Huezo again, running that very distinct X across his livery. Virtual Life X, it looks like his sponsor is. Go and check them out. I might do that after because that name intrigues me. Run around the Logitech sponsorship for Greg Hurst. Coming around to the final corner in the number 144. That's a bit sideways. Can he keep his foot on it? Keep it straight, he can. But for lap time, that does not help.
No, it doesn't, but you have to admit that was quite a good drift around the final corner. I think in real life, even that is a kind of a corner of choice for a lot of racing drivers to just get the rear end of their car out. David Huizo currently in second. He is around the final corner. Is he going to come across the start-finish line to beat his rear lap time? Unfortunately, not again, and he does not improve on his lap time.
Weather at the moment is very cold. It's actually improved a little bit since the start, but it's 18 degrees, 23 degrees track temp, so a lot of grip for those drivers out there. That does mean that they're pushing limits, and a mistake will send them sideways very easily. Not much wind to contend with, 11 kilometers an hour heading in from the northwest, so it'll give them a tailwind into some of these corners, which will give them a little bit extra speed that they'll have to contend with. Let's go take a look at the driver in 11th place at the moment, seeing if he can find an improvement. Liam MacDonald, because if he finds an improvement of just 1/100th of a second, he will go on to 10th, and as such, provisional pole for the inverted starting grid we have. But that slower car in front might hurt him. I don't think it hurt him through there, so that's Zeal Jones, who is quick in front of him, and that means he's going to get a nice toe in a slipstream down this back straight. This may actually help his lap time.
Is it going to actually help his lap time? Now he does get a little bit of advantage. Mounts the curb, good use of the curb there. He is going to come across the start-finish line.
Oh,
it does
so close.
Barely edges out lap time.
He was not 100th quicker, but 500th slower. So close. He's flirting with provisional pole. And it's a big difference between qualifying 10th and 11th. You either start on pole or you start 11th. And, well, I can tell you which one of those has a high likelihood of chaos, especially at this track. Way back in 43rd, going to be in the thick of the action, Graham Wallace having some technical issues with his car as a checkered flag falls on qualifying, and this is how they line up. So Dan Harris put it at 10th, so he starts on pole with Andrew Jackson alongside him. Forewarning, Jay, your grid's not going to work. Don't do it. Brunwell King is 3rd, and Justin Allen alongside in 4th. Matthew Pluck and Nicholas Lowndes off row 3. You can see the grid on the left-hand side of your screen there, because the iRacing system doesn't like it when we try to display our normal grid in heat races. Wayne Losh and Mike Cullingford, 7th and 8th. David Huezo and Callum Hedge round out your top 10. Hedge, of course, the fastest of them all. Wayhan disappeared, and you can see the other cars on the left-hand side scrolling through for all 50 drivers. Alistair Dunbar will be the last car off the grid. the run up to turn 1 is extremely tight. And look at that, for the drivers from 12th-ish on back, they've got to make their way through the corner. And the guy starting 50th, well, they're probably not even in the corner yet. They're going to have to drive all the way around it before they get to the start-finish line. So, very tricky start for a lot of these drivers. That is the view from someone buried back in the pack. That is 49th place Chris Waters. And you can see, can't even see where first place lines up. 30 seconds left here for the drivers to grid up on the racetrack to give themselves enough preparation for this. 50 cars at Tsukuba. Never thought I'd say it, but now that I am, I'm realizing this has potential to be absolutely chaotic. As the red lights come on, green flag is out. We're racing for race 1 of the evening. And a great start from your first few rows. Congestion everywhere. Further back and already contact. Someone got airtime and gets turned in front of the last few cars. Up through turn 1. It's a good lead then for Dan Harris. And it's side by side with Nicholas Lowndes trying to fend off Callum Hedge and Matthew Clark. Hedge trying to go the long way round up at turn number 3. Bit of contact and Lowndes is going to go for a spin.
Quite a lot of carnage to begin the race with. Quite a numerous incidents throughout the field. Your race leader is still Dan Harris, and he leads Andrew Jackson. But of course, we do have a look at the various cars now making their way throughout the field. It is not single file at this point. Drivers are still going 2 wide, 3 abreast even at various points.
Callum Hedge has gone from 10th to 3rd already. And that's him right behind the side-by-side duo of Andrew Jackson and Dan Harris, who's still having those issues with his internet connection. So he disappears from our screens. And Jackson will come across in the lead of the race from Callum Hedge, up 8 spots on lap number 1. Fantastic first account from him. He'll look to try and continue that over the next lap or so to put himself up into the front. He's all over the back of your race leader already. Does he go for the move up the inside? He doesn't. Going to find it difficult to pass on this racetrack, but the speed he has, would say it's a case of sooner rather than later.
It does look to be a 3-4-way battle pack. 3-way battle pack at this point within the top 3. Of course, Bramwell King not too far behind. This is a move for the race lead. Goes inside, does Andrew Jackson with Callum Hedge around the outside.
So Hedge takes the spot away. Now Jackson's got to watch out for Pluck, who got the run after Jackson was checked up on exit. He moves over to cover him off. There's a bit of contact, and Jackson's going to get pushed wide and out into the grass and the dirt and into the fence as well. Big contact for Jackson. He's in a very awkward spot on the racetrack, and I think he's going to have to tow back to pit lane because that car looks very beat up after that contact. And he, in fact, drives it back to pit lane. He found a gap to get to the inside of the racetrack. Great heads up from him. He moved off to try to cover off Pluck, but Pluck just got into his right rear ever so slightly, and it was just enough to unsettle that car. And once you're out there in that dirty stuff, there's no saving it.
Your new race leader, Callum Hedge, he began from 9th position and he has made his way all the way up to first. He leads Matthew Pluck at this point, while Bramwell King still in 3rd. He sits in that Marlboro liveried car. I think he tried to think of a move along the inside around this final corner. I think this is one of those. This would be one of those overtaking areas for these cars.
Close battle for 14th place involving quite a lot of cars. Chester Backer has just got his way through, as we'll see it in the background there. And Paul Stubbs under a lot of pressure now, because here comes up the inside, trying to make the move stick into the corner. Not going to make it work, but this is a lot of cars all stacked up. There's a couple laps cars in here too. And that is Chris Robertson trying to find a way by Stubbs and getting hit by Sam Thompson. Checks up Guavava as well, and Cameron Freeman. And I'll be honest, I don't know who's who in this. There's a lot of cars in a very tight space. I can tell you, Conrad Clark did find the fence and all that, as they're still 2x2 up on approach to the hairpin, and there's more contact. And the 84 is going to get shuffled out there 3 wide for a moment. And turned into the fence down the straight. That's a big crash. They're all going to get tucked up in this. Big incident there down the back straight away. And they're still crashing a little bit further up. The car that got turned around, that was the 84 that went for a... That was the Adams that got hit a little bit further up the track, trying to avoid that. Who was the car that got turned to trigger that all into the first place? It was Sam Thompson. We'll have to get a replay up the screen on that. How am I supposed to call that? You know, a lot of cars just ended up on the same spot on the racetrack, and some of them were on their roof.
I think I would like to call this. I think I would like to call this Bathurst of Japan with regards to the difficulty in terms of trying to survive the whole of the race. I think the virtual tow car is going to have quite a good day today. We ride on board Wayne Lodge. He sits in 6th place, 1 position ahead of where he began from the race start. He is not too far behind David Huiso in 5th. Of course, the other cars are just packed so close together. You know, it is going to be rather challenging to keep everything 100% clean throughout the race.
Chris Robinson with big damage to his number 3 machine. He's got a long way to go to get back to pit lane. Battle we're watching now is looking back at David Huizo from on board with Matthew Pluck, trying to fend him off. He's currently occupying 4th place as Pluck. There's a lapped car on the inside that's going to force them all wide of the apex. Losh and Collingford just behind these two on the racetrack. Doesn't look like Huizo is going to be quite close enough this time by to get by him. Of course, Huizo started from 9th. He was 2nd fastest in qualifying. He's still in 5th, whereas your race leader started 10th, and he's already out there. He was there by lap 2.
Yeah, of course, if we do look throughout the field, we do see some drivers having made massive gains. Obviously, the drivers within the top 15, some of them having gained 14 to 15, and even a driver 19 positions gained. Whereas if we look at the bottom half of the field, it would be unfortunate that some drivers have lost it. David Huizo come into a bit of contact with Matthew Pluck, but he is now sandwiched between Pluck and Losh, 4th and 6th respectively.
Biggest mover is Mazuris, up 19 spots. Now occupying provisional pole for race number 2, should he not advance his position. But I think his sights are set on finishing as high up as he can. You know, I'm going to have to eat my words, because someone's gained even more positions. 41st to 18th, Jordan Michaels has come up 23 positions, and a fantastic drive so far through the chaos at the back. On board with Mazuris, and as he looks to pressure McDonald now down into turn number 1. McDonald trying to defend, but Mazuris wants to force the issue down there, gets it up on the curb, trying to get it turned in, all over the back bumper of that number 69 machine as they run down into turn number 3 now. Does he go for the inside here? He does. Up the inside, late on the brakes, bit of contact as he checked it up in the middle of the corner, but Mazuris takes that spot away and gains position number 20 into this race, up into 9th now. Let's go back to the battle for 2nd, because Bramwell King now starting to get reeled in by Justin Allen.
This is a fantastic battle shaping up at this point. It is a 5-way battle pack, which is very awesome to see at this point. Bramwell, of course, a little bit wide line that might have opened the gap, the door for Justin Allen, but of course that did not happen, and they come along the main straight. They are going to go hard braking in towards the first corner.
And then that's turn 1, and then curiously, this is turn 2. And then we have turn 3 and turn 4. And then this is turn 5 up here, the second braking zone on the circuit. And then turn 6 is also there. And then turn 7, and then very weirdly, If we use the other layout, it would go from turn 7 to turn 13, and then back to turn 8. But don't ask me how they decided to number this track.
Wow. All right, that's interesting. Now, of course, there are two layouts to this Tsukuba circuit. At least this specific length of the circuit. There is one, this one, the time attack layout, as well as the motorbike layout that uses the chicane within that corner. They come upon the final corner again. You can just see how short this circuit is. I think if you do get your camera far away enough, you can see the whole track within one scene. A little bit of contact there, as this is Bramwell King going side by side with Chris Waters. Oh, and a huge contact takes out all these cars. Oh, this is so unfortunate.
Suazo off in the fence then, and he's in a very awkward spot to try and rejoin. He'll find a gap to do it, but there's damage to the front of that car that's probably going to force him back down into pit lane. We'll take a look at the replay of what happened between himself and Pluck in front as they came out the final corner down the main straight. Trying to move his way up the inside, couldn't find it. Then off the exit, contact in front, checks up Pluck, and then 3 wide, and unfortunately Huezo was cleaned up as well.
So it had been a lapped traffic, a lapped car that was kind of happened to be in the way, and that led to the contact that happened along the way. Of course, we return to live pictures. This is Rowan Shepherd, and of course, we've moved to another car at this point.
On board with Freeman here as he tries to chase down Gene Rollinson for 11th place. Now, if he can find Tsukuba, up in front, that's a little bit tight. Bramwell King coming under all sorts. In fact, Callum Hedge, what's happened to him? Because he's lost the lead of the race. And Wayne Losh has gone through.
Losh going all defensive, trying to defend the inside line to kind of secure his newly gained. Oh, a bit of a lap traffic in front. That could have been dangerous to Wayne Losh and Callum Hedge, but of course Losh manages to just hold on to his newly gained race lead. Is he going to open up a door for Hedge to go along the inside? Does not seem so. So they come towards the other happy to get along the inside. Goes Caleb Hedge. This is going to be him trying to make it work along the inside. So now he does have the positional advantage. It will be a drag race down this longer stretch along the back stretch. But it would look like Caleb Hedge does have the advantage at this point. He's taken the inside line. And he is going to try his best to cling on to his race lead as we complete another lap here at Tsukuba.
He's going to defend up the inside for turn 1 though, because Losh is still right there with them. Behind there was an issue for Bramwell King. He's now buried in the pack, and it's elevated everyone else up a few spots. Mazuro's up to P5 now. His charge continues. That is Bramwell King down on pit road with big damage to the front of his car. As through turns 5 and 6 then, the gap starting to increase now for Hedge after his interesting issues that we don't know about that managed to cost him a very comfortable margin. He ran a 1minute 10.1 on lap number 11. He's made a mistake somewhere. He was hit, in fact, from another car, which is why he dropped all that time.
But of course, sitting in third, we do have Rowan Shepherd, who had in fact gained 20 positions from where he began earlier on in the race. He sits in third. He began from 23rd. So, of course, great performance by Shepherd, fighting up front at this point.
see if he can make this one stick further back, because up the inside, trying and being defended hard up the inside. That's Mazuris, and he's going to get turned around by a lapped car. And he now will lose a couple spots and go back to 8th place, as Rollinson will go by him, so make that 9th. And now Freeman's back there as well. So Mazuris, all his good work gets undone for a moment by some of the lap traffic, which is causing issues, as predicted, on such a tight racetrack with so many race cars.
Yeah, I think this track is beginning to rear its ugly head, as we have a good composition of lap traffic and guys on the lead lap. This is Sachit Ranatunga. He's gone for the move along the inside, and he is in 6th position.
The race lead now half a second for Callum Hedge. 3.1 back to Shepherd in 3rd. He's got a comfortable margin back to Pluck and McDonald. And then it starts to get tight from McDonald on back with Ranathunga, Cullingford, and Rollinson. Mazuris, Freeman, all in a big train of cars almost, up through turns 5 and 6.
So little three-way battle pack at this point. This is being led by Paul Greeny. Paul Greeny is the lap car, and this is a bit of contact there. It was Mazuris and Rollinson, both of them come into contact, and Mazuris goes up a position to P8. Of course, Rollinson taking the tighter line through the final corner. That would have handed him a little bit of an advantage, but although at this point Missouri still holds on to P8, he is 3/10 of a second ahead of Rollinson.
You can see there, Mazuris up another spot past Rollinson then, and he'll try to chase down Cullingford. It is interesting not seeing much foxing to try and be the 10th place car on the track, because with something Van Gisbergen reminded us about, that being a 10th is very crucial, because it does give you the pole for race 2, which is a massive benefit if you've got the car pace to be there. Biggest mover in the field now would probably be, I think, Brock Gilchrist from 40th up to 13th. He's gained 27 positions, and he's going to make it another one as he goes by Matt Jenkins. In fact, he's in a very good battle, because as he did that, a laps car came through, and now he's 3 wide on approach to turn 8, and somehow they all made it through there without drama, and the laps car ends up behind them all again.
Of course, that was quite an interesting move. Of course, when you do have lap traffic, it does throw a spanner into the works at some points in time as you try to fight for a position. Gilchrist sits in 12th position, and he is coming under not exactly a lot of pressure at this point, but it is Matt Jenkins behind him. This is a move by Huizo up to P9, a great overtaking move around turn 1. And now we ride on board Cullingford. who currently sits in P7. He is trying to put as much pressure as he can on the car in front of him, which is Sachit Ranatunga, who sits in P6.
Yeah, let's see if we can get by Ranatunga here. Down at the final corner. Not going to happen there at turn 12. Running a very different line to Ranatunga through the corner. It's such a long turn that you can run a couple different lines through there. Cullingford tried to get the better exit, and he did, but it's not quite enough to get up the inside of turn 1. Again, he sets himself up wide on the entry, trying to turn it in and get an early apex, drive off the corner, but he couldn't get it turned at all through there, and Ranatunga will fend him off quite easily as a result of that. Liam McDonald's just up in front of these guys too, as is about 3 laps cars, so it's going to get a bit dicey in a moment between these guys, as Cullingford really closed up through 5 and 6.
Of course, at this point, the cars. Oh, look, that would be a move around that hairpin. That is between Liam McDonald and Panash Gravava, who would be a lapped car at 39th. Of course, at this point, it does come. Traffic is a bit tight at this point, but of course, all the drivers making it through as well as they can.
Still behind it, not able to find a way through. Ranatunga now pressuring McDonald with that lapped car, easing the pressure off him for a little bit at least, and Mazuris now getting quite close to the back of Cullingford, as well as they still try to find a way by the lapped car, and Kuavava gets sent off into the fence by Mazuris, who was not waiting around for him. And that releases him from that battle on 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Now all line astern on the run into turn 11. Murray Brook and Sam Thompson. Still 2 more laps cars for these guys to navigate. Someone's just blown a motor. Matthew Pluck's blown his motor from 4th place out of nowhere. Down the back straight away, the engine goes pop. And he is not going to be in a good spot for race 2, because that car comes to a grinding halt out there on the grass. He has to tow back to pit lane, but it's going to cost him so much time. Disastrous, because he was very comfortable.
Yeah, what an unfortunate turn of events for him, as he's now gone back to the pits, losing positions hand over fist at this point. David Huizo currently in 8th. Of course, he was a couple of positions high just moments ago, but he is now fighting for his positions once again with Mazuris in front of him. Oh, he goes side by side with Mazuris. He makes the move work along the inside of Mazuris, and he's now made the position up to 7th. Of course, that was a lapped car over there, which he managed to clean off right away.
Up the inside, not able to, well, I guess, unlap himself. Mazuris will get by him in the end, with Murray Brook not providing too much drama for him. And he'll try to chase down Huezo now after losing a bucket load of time. Rollinson as well. Taking us a little while to get by him. Gap at the front is open up to a 2nd now, so Hedge is still comfortable out there. It's a long way back to 3rd, and then from 4th on back into this big battle that we're in at the moment, with McDonald and everyone else being elevated after Pluck's engine went pop down the back straight. I'm curious as to how he did blow his engine shifting up. Normally when it goes, it's went on the downshifts. We've seen it a few times this series, but on the upshifts is a new one for this series.
It could well have been a misshift. Sometimes certain shifters, they do kind of play against you, with the way some sensors do work. Of course, we are having a look at Liam McDonald. He sits in 4th, and he is leading a huge freight train of cars, extending all the way down, all the way a few positions back. This is a 4-way battle pack at this point. McDonald leading the cars down turn 1. Of course, the cars would not seem to be close enough for an overtaking move to take place at this point, but of course, with all the corners packed so close to one another, it is just a matter of corners before perhaps we see Ranatunga make a move on McDonald.
Yeah, I think this one's going to come right down here to the wire, this one, because none of them look like they've got enough outright pace to really easily breeze past. And other than that, this track is hard to pass on. So if you defend up here at turn 11, you're almost set to not lose a spot because it's so long of a corner. The outside doesn't really work. And then as long as you defend turn 12, it's a similar scenario. So, yeah, easier to defend, makes it hard to overtake, but now a 4-car train here with Huezo back there, and Maziris, all the pace he has, very likely to make it a 5-car train in a moment. And don't forget, where they finish is going to get inverted the top 10, so whoever finishes 4th is going to be starting from 6th. Whoever's the worst off in this battle is probably best placed for race number 2, is up the inside goes Cullingford. Ranathunga gives him the space, and Huezo shoves his car up the gap as well. And so Ranathunga loses 2 for the price of 1 down at turn number 1. And now Cullingford will try to chase down and pass McDonald. Eight laps to go in race number 1 of 2. This is the all-comers split. After the second race of this split, we will be broadcasting the main event with drivers such as Shane Van Gisbergen, Liam Lawson, Matthew Payne, plus all of your very fast 2K cuppers in a sim. A very quality field that turns up. See if Brendan Hartley returns as well after making an appearance a couple rounds ago and doing very well when he did so. It's now a big run for Cullingford. McDonald defends, and Cullingford had to get hard on the brakes, really unsettled in his car. Overcooked in the corner, and Huezo is trying to capitalise on it. But he's on the wrong side of the track for turns 5 and 6. And he's not going to be close enough. I can't get over calling action through turns 1 and then suddenly launching into turns 5 and 6.
Yeah, that's quite a brilliant, bold move by McDonald there in, going all out to defend his 4th position. Of course, he does have a slight advantage ahead of everyone, 0.4 of a second. This is Huizo going along the inside of the hairpin. He makes a move work on Cullingford. Our drivers beginning to go 3 abreast at this point. They have of course returned to single file as they prepare for their entry into this final corner. Of course, along this final corner, it is not exactly the wisest to go more than 2 wide. We ride on the rear bumper camera of Liam McDonald just to have a good perspective of how close Huizo is. As we just said, that he goes out wide and he's going to lose all 3 positions hand over fist, and this would mean that he will drop down to P7. This is Missouri's behind him. But of course, we do have a new car in P4. It is Huizo in P4. And that also moves Cullingford and Ranatunga up to 5th and 6th.
Cullingford trying to look for the exit there to get by Huezo. Not enough of a run for him down this main straight. Huezo is going to cover just a little bit. You do take a shallow line into turn 1, which does sort of defend the corner naturally for you, which is another reason why it is so hard to pass on this track. A little bit further behind them, Gene Rollinson's just got by Mazura. It's up at turn 1 as well.
So it was an unfortunate incident earlier on that meant that Liam McDonald had to lose his 4th position. So question is he going to join the battle pack in front of him? or is he going to join the battle pack behind him, which is exactly the pack that you are looking at? It would appear that Gene Rollinson is going to try to close up his gap with Liam McDonald. But if Liam is able to close this gap that is ahead of him, we could well see a much longer battle pack.
Yeah, most certainly. I do wonder if Mazurius is trying to fox his way into P10, having lost that spot to Rollinson, and maybe now starting to drop back towards Gilchrist, who occupies the provisional pole for someone else has just blown their motor. I heard it in my left headphone. Gilchrist! The man that was on provisional pole, his engine pops, and his one went on the entry to turn 11. Take a look at the replay here. Well, this isn't it, because this is turn 1. What are we looking at, Jay? Oh! Oh, it was turn 1, sorry, yes. Too hard on the downshift, Wei-Han?
Likely so, but of course, it was very mindful of him to kind of steer his car towards the grass inside the corner, so that kind of avoided any possible incidents that might have led to other cars coming into contact with him. We ride on board Missouri's again. He sits in 9th, and there is a good battle unfolding here in front between 8th and 7th cars.
McDonald defending for his life at the moment, trying to fend off Rollinson. I mean, the funny thing is, he'd be better off getting overtaken by Rollinson here. There's behind them a little laps car battle between a car 1 lap down and a car 2 laps down. Only 3 laps to go in this event before race 1 comes to its conclusion. The top 10 get inverted. We have a 10-minute warm-up session between race 1 and race 2. And it'll be exactly the same, a 33-minute race, so about 31 laps in length, being just over a minute lap times.
Right, I would imagine that at this point, we do have a couple of minutes to go before the checker flag is waved. The battle for P10. Although there isn't exactly a battle at this point, I think hypothetically, if Jordan Michels can close his gap with Cameron Freeman at this point, this would mean a difference between starting from pole and starting from slightly further back in 10th on the next race.
Yeah, most certainly, but I think Mazura's trying to fox his way back into 10th. He might be trying it, but 10th place keeps changing hands and getting further and further back the field, back on the racetrack, which is making it slightly difficult. So I think he's given up on that and is happy to start from 2nd place if he runs across in 9th here. As McDonald still fending off Rollinson with just 2 laps to go up into turn 11. It'll be 1 lap to go and they come across the start-finish stripe now, because your race leader has taken that white flag, Callum Hedge. And Mazurius, what's he done? He let someone go. It was a laps car by the looks of it. Okay. Keep an eye on him, whether he's got any issues or whether he's just biding his time out there. Up at the front, though, it is smooth sailing for Callum Hedge, who has been, well, he's not quite had it all his way, but he's had the pace in abundance over the rest of the field, driving from 10th to 1st in the space of a lap and a half at the start, after putting it on the pole at the end of qualifying, having to come from 10th with the inversion. Well, he's going to have to do it again with the race win for race 1, putting him 10th for race 2. Fantastic pace for Hedge, even after the contact of spinning him out. He takes out race 1 of the all-comers split here in the 2K Cup. Can he book a spot in the main event with race 2 coming up, as everyone else now is going to come across the line and will resolve who sits on the pole for race 2. At the moment, it should be Cameron Freeman, who is occupying that 10th spot amongst that big train of cars down this back straightaway, involving some laps cars and the battle for P10, as well as Mazura's up on the high side, up there in 9th. Very slow, but he will take 9th ahead of Cameron Freeman. Almost put in the fence as it came across the line there. We'll go to a break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. And when we come back, we will get ready to go green for race 2, just over 10 minutes' time.
Welcome to GSRC's coverage of the 2K Cup here at Tsukuba Circuit. We have just completed the first heat just moments ago, and we are back for the coverage of the second heat of this session. Of course, the race results from the previous race. Callum Hedge came in as a race winner with Wayne Losh in second. Of course, these two drivers had made themselves a big breakaway, and in third is Rowan Shepherd. Finishing fourth earlier is David Huizo, and Mike Cullingford came home in fifth. Sachit Runatunga, Liam McDonald, Gene Rollinson, Angelo Masuris, and Cameron Freeman, they round out your top 10 finishers of race one. And this will mean that as they invert their field, these 10 drivers will have their starting grid inverted. The driver who came home in 11th, Jordan Michels, and Craig Brock came home in 12th. Will Kitchen came home in 13th, Ashley Wallace in 14th, James Parkinson in 15th, Chris Robertson 16th, Nicholas Lowndes in 17th, and Michael Ferguson one lap behind. Drivers beyond here would be one lap behind. He came home in 18th. Benjamin Adams in 19th, and Neil Gardner came home in 20th.
And you see the rest of the results on your screen there as well. Sorry, Wayhan. But yeah, that is a very large number of drivers a lap down, isn't it, Wayhan? Because such a tight track, so many people went a lap down, not really from being not from being slow or just nature of the racetrack. When you're back in the pack, you get checked up so much that it's impossible to suddenly that sometimes with some of those drivers. But what it means is a very interesting grid for race two. Top 10 inverted from how you saw them in the race results there, which means Cameron Freeman's on the pole. Everyone else will start where they finished in race one. This is the money race. Top three will advance through to the main event. Waiting for the drivers to grid up here to get ourselves underway. Not long to grid up for race number 2 of this event. It's Freeman and Masuris on the front row. The Super 2 champ, not champ, well, he's a champ in my eyes, but the Super 2 driver trying to book a spot in the main event alongside a Supercars main event driver. So let's see who gets in. Only 3 can get there. There's 50 trying. Green flag in the air and a great launch for Masuris, but look at Liam McDonald. He splits the middle. He goes from third to first, down into turn number 1. They're 3 abreast. McDonald pops out in front. Masuris in second. Freeman's going to go from first to third, and then Cullingford in fourth. Ranathunga running out your top 5 into turns 5 and 6. There's contact already.
Oh, it is quite an interesting start to the first race, or to this race. Liam McDonald, your race leader, and he leads Angelo Masuris. These two drivers already trying to begin to form their own little bit of a breakaway. These two cars, they are very close to each other. They come upon this hairpin, and behind them, Cameron Freeman, he dropped 2 positions, of course, owing to McDonald's charge to the front. And we've also got Mike Cullingford, Rowan Shepherd, who leads an ever-growing pack of cars behind him.
It is the big train, snakes its way down into turn number 12 then. And lap 1 is in the books. It is being led by Liam McDonald, but Masuris is all over the back of him. He shows a nose down into turn number 1, late on the brakes, but he can't quite get there. Further back, that's Huezo picking up the spot as well. Masuris, he's all over the back of him. He's pushing him down to turns 5 and 6. Shows a nose once more, but again, McDonald defends. There's contact between them. The bump pushes McDonald wide, and they're side by side now for the lead of this race. More contact as paint gets exchanged. McDonald back there on the inside. This is a fantastic scrap for the lead, but as they scrap away, it's going to bring Freeman, Cullingford, Shepherd into the picture behind as Shepherd does go for a big lunge, and Cullingford gets escorted wide at turn 11.
But Cullingford returns and rejoins in P5, of course. That is Huizo and Ranatunga. These two drivers going nearly too wide as they try to take the backstretch as such. They come upon the final corner and they have resigned through a single file.
Riding on board with Masuris as he tries to... riding on board with Cameron Freeman as he tries to fend off your 4th place man Shepherd there. Wasn't quite able to find a way by through turns 1. Looks like Freeman's actually having a few technical issues, which is making it a bit difficult for the drivers behind him and for our cameras to pick him up. As Cullingford back there behind Shepherd's all over these guys too. There's a big train forming behind the battle for P3.
Yes, of course, with the reverse grid pressure out of the way, drivers cannot put everything on the line to battle for the best position. Around goes Collingford. It would be that Huizo had come into contact with Collingford, and this pushes him down all the way to P17th, 19th, as he's just now progressively losing positions.
Oh, that's a potential move that didn't quite work out there in front of Huizo. Back in the order. Let's cast our eyes back forwards because McDonald side by side again with Mazuris. Mazuris goes for the switchback. He was on the outside. He switched back, but that puts him on the outside again for the left-hander now. Late on the brakes, both of them taking all of the available curbing was McDonald. Mazuris switches over again. Again, he's on the outside. He cannot get to the inside for any of these corners. McDonald driving phenomenally right now. And again, Mazuris not on the right spot. Here comes Freeman and Shepherd. These two closing in dramatically as they tussle in front. There's the big dive from Mazuris, but a fantastic crossover move from McDonald. Drives right on back by him. Phenomenal stuff up at the front. Here comes Shepherd now. He's up into 3rd, and he's pressuring Mazuris. We did miss too. Hedge getting involved in the lap 1 crash, which has put him back on 45th spot, and well, you would say out of contention of an advancement to the main event as Mazuris throws a huge block on Shepherd. A little bit of contact exchanged between them, and Mazuris got shoved up into turn number 1. Now it's truly a 3-way fight, and look at the cars behind, spinning around in the background. Who was that up at turn number 1? Don't quite know, as Mazuris cops a whack as well. Down on the apron, that's or the infield, that's Chester Baccaris, and a car coming in from the outside as well. Craig Brockett looks like. As out front, Shepherd's off the track. All 4 tyres in the grass. What happened? He was edged out by Mazuris there. And these two are now letting McDonald jump out to a big margin.
At this point, it's all about trying to weigh the pros and cons, trying to balance between battling for second versus closing the gap with race leader McDonald. Shepherd goes along the inside, tries to look at it down the inside, gets a good corner entry. Is he going to hold on to this through the final corner in order to make his move work? He goes out in front, but does receive a bit of nudge from Mazuris, and this is possibly going to be Mazuris trying to go for a comeback.
Sets himself up wide for the entry, looking for the early exit, which he gets. Little bit of trouble getting the power down, though, and loses the momentum that he had going for him. He might be best served, actually, sitting in behind Shepherd, as long as he's got the pace to catch back up to McDonald, because if they keep battling, well, the gap's already out to a second. It's only going to get bigger for these drivers. And they finally opened up breathing room to the cars behind. Freeman, Rollinson, Ranathunga, and Wayne Losh, too. Of course, Wayne Losh trying to fight his way through the field after starting from P9.
Rollinson currently in P5. He sits in the slipstream, gets quite a good tow from Rollinson, but does not exactly get the tightest line around the final corner. So this means that he has to wait for a while more in order to make his move up to P4 work. He goes braking down the inside, sends it along the inside. Contact between Rollinson and Freeman, but this means that Rollinson moves up to P4 and Freeman goes down to 5th. Freeman now coming under quite a lot of pressure from Ranathunga and Losh behind him.
This is shaping up to be a fantastic little race. Lap 7 of 31 here in the race that counts to book a spot in the main event alongside Van Gisbergen, alongside Lawson, maybe Hartley if he reappears today. battles at the front of that have been truly astonishing, and this race is maybe looking to match that because it's been a very good opening 7 laps so far as you see a move further back in the pack, which isn't actually going to be completed, fending off around the outside very well. But the gap is coming down up the front. Shepard's brought it back to half a second now, and he's dragging Mazuris with him.
Would look like an incident that Sachit had suffered just moments ago. We have a look at a replay and observe what exactly happened. So at this point, he was still sitting at this position, came under a bit of pressure, and it was just a contact from the cars that came behind him. We go back to live pictures for this battle for the race lead. Because Liam McDonald still leads the race, and Rowan Shepherd still sits in second. Of course, he began from P8, and that is a lap traffic nearly coming to collision there. But of course, the cars all make it through very safely. Shepherd coming under a lot of pressure, and who's that who's gone around?
Mazuris. Smoke signals up on the exit of turn 2. Careful of the rejoin. And he's going to go back to P8 then. Suddenly, staring at not being in the main event. That leaves McDonald, Shepherd, Rollins in your top 3. And who was that towing through the grass on the inside? Maybe we'll stay with the replay to find out. This is Mazuris trying to get up the inside. A lapped car there on the outside of the corner. And he just offloaded the car up on the inside curb there, and around it went. It was a lap down car that was down on the grass through the second last corner, the penultimate corner on the racetrack. Quarter of a second between McDonald and Shepherd. The reason I got excited by that car, because we often see at tracks where you spin to the grass on the right-hand side before a right-handed corner, someone often gets blindsided. Phillip Island up at Honda is one of the best examples I can think of, certainly for this AusNZ community. Been some massive crashes there over the years. Oh no! One of the lappers just went for a wild slide out into the fence on the right-hand side there, and his race goes from bad to worse. It was Panashe Guavava that did that.
So of course, what this means at this very point is that McDonald and Shepherd have built themselves quite a sizable gap. A good buffer ahead of driver in P3, Gene Rawlinson. So that gap sit at just under 4 seconds, and this is hopefully going to perhaps keep Shepherd and McDonald, more allow them to focus more on their battles for the race lead. Goes a little bit wide, Liam McDonald, but of course that's not wide enough for Shepherd to clamber up to first place. Of course, that is another lapped car in front. Of course, being here in Tsukuba, you do have lap traffic. You do kind of mix around with lap traffic for quite a huge duration of the race. Shepherd going ever so close to McDonald as they come upon the final corner and prepare for the next move down the first corner. A defensive line goes McDonald. He goes along the inside. The lap traffic gone a little bit wide out there, perhaps in anticipation of the race leader.
Yes, and McDonald's doing a very good job to fend off Shepherd at the moment. Shepherd's definitely got the pace, but proving once again hard track to pass on. The battle for the final transfer spot is hot as well. Losh, after finally fighting his way through into third, is under all sorts of pressure still from Rawlinson and Freeman. So two battles to keep our eyes on here at the moment out here on the racetrack. And as we get further into the race and laps cars prove more and more prevalent, this could all shake up dramatically too before we reach what should be lap 31 when we get to the checkered flag. You can see just 7 tenths covering those 3 cars in the battle for the final spot on the podium.
Huizo in the background there gotten a good toe from Jordan Michels, but Michels he goes for the defensive line inside, but breaks a little bit too early. But I think not early enough for Missouri's to make that for Huizo. But of course, at this point, Huizo makes the move ahead, the jump ahead to P6, and makes that move work. Michel's possibly going for a comeback at this point.
Trying, but not quite close enough at the moment. Big gap in front of him to try and recover to get himself back up there into P7. This is a big train of cars that could very much turn into 1st versus 7th here if McDonald and Shepard start to battle, because Losh isn't that far back and he's got Rollinson, Freeman, Huezo, Michaels all with him. If these two hold each other up, we saw earlier on when they were going side by side, Mazuris and Shepard, how slow you go. And it's not because you're driving slow, you just can't use all of the racetrack to take the fast lines when you've got a car alongside you. And if you do, you're probably going to get slapped with a penalty as well. At the moment, this has been a fantastic, clean battle between the 2 of these drivers.
Also, with this camera, we get a good perspective of just the kind of concentration of cars at any given part of the circuit. Shepard trying to perhaps go for another move with McDonald's. He does select the outside line, or rather he becomes positioned along the outside line, which does not exactly come to his advantage, and he comes along the backstretch. Going to get a little bit of a toe from McDonald as they go around along the backstretch. And are we going to see Shepard go for a move down the inside? No, he's not. He's decided not to make the move down the inside. But McDonald perhaps going a little bit out wide through the entry. And McDonald still holds on to the race lead.
Oh, he's going to get it hit though. Unsettled, the rear end goes for a slide through turns 1. Shepard starting to give the hurry up now. He wants him out of the way. But he is stern right now in his defense. Is Liam McDonald as Mazuris. Shepard sets himself up wide, trying to look for the exit, trying to set himself up ready for the final back straight. He got the grass on entry, and that car slid through turn number 6. That was turn 7. That was very close to losing it for him. Losh is starting to catch them too. He's lapping quicker than them now.
Of course, the gap between Losh and Shepard sit at just under 3 seconds. Of course, earlier on, a couple of laps ago, the gap was just under 4 seconds. And I think at this rate, we do not have a comparison of the change in gap. But of course, great pace by Losh at this point, because he is holding up well. And he is in fact quite a distance ahead of the 4th place driver, so I think he does have a good buffer ahead and behind of him.
Lap 16, halfway through race 2. 2 more races to come. That's the main split with all the big pro drivers. What a slide and a tank cycle Huezo had on there coming through turn number 3 and 4. Clipped the grass, car unsettled. No issue, he kept his foot in it and kept on driving that thing. He's trying to put the pressure on Rollinson, trying to get himself up into P4 here. He's got some pretty decent pace, this Huezo, at the moment, out there on the racetrack. The leaders are lapping with a 4.9 and a 5.2. Losh with a 4.4, Rollinson a 4.9, but Huezo a 4.1, fastest driver of your top 5.
We ride on board Huizo as he's just gotten his line through the final corner a little bit wide on entry, but I think it does bring him a little bit of advantage as they come along the exit. The gap between Huizo and Rollinson sit at just 0.2 of a second. Of course, he's now gone for the braking maneuver. Rollinson had the inside line. He managed to defend it.
Huezo now. He's going to get to the inside, but not quite. Close enough. A big mistake, though, for Rawlinson. Cloud cover over the circuit. Oh, that's Shepard! And that's McDonald! The leaders have come together! So, who's in the race? Lead. Wayne Losh is leading the race now, and this is a battle for P2. What happened between McDonald and Shepard? Suddenly, they were both slow and rejoining the track as we came across them. We'll have to get a replay. And this is it. What happened at the front? McDonald defending once again with technical issues plaguing his defense. And they've come together, haven't they? There's the mistake for Shepard. McDonald lost it by himself, I think. He got into the fence hard as well. No, Huezo. Shepard doesn't have any damage to his car, but McDonald might do.
So it is good news for Wayne Losh, as this means that he has been sent through the race lead. And at the same time, he does already have for himself quite a huge gap ahead of Rollinson, so I think Losh is in a relatively comfortable position at this point with his new race lead. Rollinson, however, although he is in second, he's under a lot of pressure from Huizo, carried forward from just moments ago.
So, the transfer battle now is very, very juicy with Rawlinson right in front of Huezo, who occupies it. And then Shepard's back there with Mazuris. He's even in with a shout again. Michaels as well. So McDonald's had to come to pit lane with that damage. And now there's more contact because Huezo's got into McDonald's Rollinson. Rollinson spun off the racetrack. And through comes Rowan Shepard to retake P2. And look out for Angelo Mazuris, the Super 2 driver, to potentially pick up the transfer spot here. He's sitting in 4th, and he's all over the back of Huezo. He has got a lot of pace, does Mazuris. He showed it in race 1, showing it again after already recovering from a spin earlier on. Gets his nose to the inside, makes a bit of contact, loosens up Huezo. Contact with Michaels behind as well. Bumper to bumper for P3.
Because it is nail biting for all the drivers at this point. It is very, very difficult situation that they're all, especially for Huizo, who was at one point sandwiched between Mazuris and Michel's. Mazuris makes a move up for P3. And I think it is Huizo now losing 2 positions hand over fist to Mazuris and Michel's. He drops down to P5, but will he go for a comeback with the switch of line that Michel has just done?
Tries it. Couldn't execute it. Michaels might have to just cover off the inside ever so slightly here to prevent the incentive for Huezo, which he does, taking what is naturally a defensive line when he entered the shallow corner there. So your top 3 now, Wayne Losh, Rowan Shepard, and Angelo Mazuris. Liam McDonald out of the running, back in the pack after having to go to pits to repair his car. Michaels and Huezo on the outside looking in, potentially booking a spot into the main event. Wayne Losh proving that don't always have to be the fastest car, but the most consistent car to get these events. But he has got so much lap traffic in front of him. He's not out of the woods yet.
Mazuris with his newfound 3rd position. Of course, he is still 1 position down from where he began earlier on in the race. But is he going to go for a comeback? You know, we have 11 laps to go at this point. Some cars going around in the background. That would look to be perhaps a combination of, a lot of cars coming together at this point.
Replay of Ranathunga out of turn 11. and it was in front of him, Rollinson, in a straight line, contact, sent runner Thunga for a spin as well, and that was all very messy. On board with Matt Jenkins. Oh no, it was Jenkins that got turned. Jenkins got turned as well as runner Thunga, which put him on his roof. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Back straight.
that was such a scary moment.
So, Wayne Losh,
back
hopefully. Here, let's do this. Wei Han, you may speak now.
Thank you. Yeah, back to live pictures with David Hui. So he's still in P5, and it is his turn to put pressure on Michel's, who is in 4th. Because Missouri is still in 3rd. He is also trying hard. Missouri is trying hard to close his gap with Roman Shepherd, because whilst he's doing that, he's also fending off pressure coming from positions 4 and 5.
Wayne Losh was about 4 inches away from getting taken out by a lap car, Mark Mallard, a few corners ago. That was incredibly dicey in terms of the rejoin. Mallard's now just behind him on the racetrack. You can see him tucked up under his rear bumper there on the outside of Daniel Harris. These two not battling for position, but they're a lap apart. One's 1 lap down and one's 2 lap down. So there's the gap back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Michael still running around in front of Horazo. We look further back in the order. Close battle for 6th place too. Elliot Andrew and Benjamin Adams. Looking at the 11th, 10th place battle too. Gardner and Thompson side by side on the run down to turns 5 and 6. Thompson on the high side of the racetrack, going to try to move through with a crossover. That's not going to work for him. Gardner very fast from the middle of the corner. A couple laps cars of Lowndes and Cullingford lined up behind them. Lowndes and Cullingford are fighting for position too, so they're not going to want to get held up too much, but Lowndes is being held up. And this will allow Cullingford an opportunity to pick up a spot if he can execute this maneuver. Up to his inside, and now door to door, down the back straightaway, just behind the battle for P10. Lowndes and Cullingford are battling for P21. A better exit for Lowndes, moves over to cover off, and Cullingford darts back to the racing line to try to set himself up nicely through turn 12. Can he get the exit that he needs to draw alongside the main straight? And down into turn 1, he can't. Great run through turn 12. Great defense from Nicholas Lowndes.
It's brilliant pace by Nicholas Lowndes. He is in 21st, of course, although being 1 lap down from the cars that are just in front of him. Still great battling nonetheless. Cullingford tries to send it down the inside. Not close enough for that overtaking move to work through this hairpin.
No, not quite yet. And running IQ Security sponsorship too is Sam Thompson, who is, of course, our new sponsor, IQ Security, to the series. And 2nd place is really starting to heat up, isn't it? Rowan Shepherd and Angelo Mazuris. Mazuris all over the back of Shepherd here, showing a lot of pace and not showing any signs of it abating in race number 2, the final race of the all-comers split. Couple laps cars in front. That's Harris and Mallard still battling away. Shepherd and Mazuris will have to find a way by them, but doesn't hold them up too much because Shepherd is going to have to get his elbows out to defend here. Mazuris in Super 2, used to using the elbows, that category, very much. A lot of beating and banging going on, and he might have to use some of it here, because here he comes on the back of Shepherd. The laps cars are now right on the front bumper almost of Rowan Shepherd. This is going to get very tight down the back straightaway. Shepherd moves to the inside of Daniel Harris, who sidesteps out of the way, forces them both to be very shallow through turn 12, and now Shepherd's going to get the slipstream off Mallard down this back straight, so it's going to help him unless Mallard stays in front through turn 12.
Because with lap traffic in the way, it can play to your advantage or disadvantage depending on how you make the best use of the situation. Of course, lap traffic offering you good slipstream at this point. The lap car in front is Mark Mallard. He moves aside to allow Missouri's and Shepard through. So this is one car down and one less car in the way of Shepard's pursuit of Wayne Losh, who is 5 seconds ahead of them.
Yeah, I don't think Missouri is going to be able to get to Losh if he gets by a Shepard here. Only with 6 laps to go, it's going to be a very tall order for that to happen. It's unfortunate because he has probably been the fastest driver overall. But second place is good enough. It'll get him through to the main event, which is what a lot of people will be tuning in for. To see the high-profile tussle at the front we've seen every single round so far. Revolving door of race winners, a who's who of New Zealand motorsport. From touring car champions, supercars champion, to Formula 3 aces on the path to Formula 1. It's had everyone in there. It's had previous Formula 1 races in there. So we even had KZ2 champions, karting champions on the rise. So if you ever wanted to see some of New Zealand's best go at it in an MX5 in Japan, well, this is your place.
Shepard having the drive of his life at this point with Missouri's all over his rear end. He is just not going to stop putting all that pressure now, is he? So of course these drivers, although they are kind of falling even further back from the race leader, I think at this point with 5 laps to go, what's probably on Shepard's mind is to try his best to keep his second position, because this will determine whether or not he will advance to the main race that will happen in just a moment's time. As you just said, that he's gone a little bit slow, or rather, Missouri has gone a little bit late on the brakes. And their positions remain.
Four laps to go. Damn it, Wayhan.
I'm so sorry,
Every single time we had a good thing going, then you went off to a military camp. You come back and we've lost it all. We've lost our rhythm.
That's just life in Singapore, man.
A Singapore and an Australian commentator on an American channel calling a New Zealand race. True multiculturalism here on iRacing is finally Missouri. He used the bumper to make that one work. Gets alongside Shepard. They are wheel to wheel, almost rubbing paddles down the back straight into turn 12. Preferred line for Missouri, but Shepard's not going to give it up. Up on the outside, the long way round. He's going to get the exit, but he has to back out of it to avoid contact. And Missouri takes away P2 with a very good move over the space of 2 corners. And with 3 to go, he finally puts himself back up onto the second step of the podium.
Brilliant driving for Missouri to retake the position that he started from much earlier this race. We are perhaps just 2 minutes of racing to go. Oh, well, there's Shepard, who is about to go around. He's gone for the comeback to second, or rather, he's trying to make the move for second position, but he's gone around. And this is going to be race over, contention over for Shepard. Missouri holds on to P2.
Well, that's unfortunate for Shepard, isn't it? And he's going to rejoin in P8, P7, right ahead of Greg Hurst. So here's a replay of it. You can see Shepard behind him coming out of turn number 1. Desperately trying to look for a way to get back by him. Sees an opportunity potentially through turns 5 and 6. Gets to the inside of Mazuris. And then Mazuris, very wisely, going for the crossover move. Just got into his left rear there and turned him around. Very unfortunate for Shepard. He'll probably be a bit displeased with that, because it looked a little bit clumsy on Mazuris' part there. As Wayne Losh takes us on to the penultimate lap of the race with a 9.4 second lead back to Mazuris. And now Michaels holds the third and final transfer spot, with Elliot Andrew 2 tenths quicker, 3 tenths quicker, and just 2 tenths behind him.
Losh has amassed such a huge gap ahead of everyone else. But of course, we are observing the battle for P3. Jordan, Michels and Elliot Andrew. Because with this little time left, it could still be anyone's game at this point for third position. Of course, not forgetting David Huizo, who is currently in fifth.
Final lap for these drivers then. Losh and Mazuris, their spots are settled, barring disaster. But it's the final transfer spot we're looking at. The battle for P3 on the track. Jordan Michaels, Elliot Andrew. Andrew is quicker than him. Last time by, he ran a 5.6. Andrew a 5.4. Michaels a 5.6. And David Huizo as well, a 4.8 behind both of them. So this could get really juicy up into the final corner. But Andrew needs to fight a little bit more through the next half of this lap to get close enough to potentially make a move. Michaels has just got enough of a gap at the moment as it stands to be comfortable coming into turn 12. Up into the hairpin. This corner is crucial for Jordan Michaels. Can't make a mistake through here. On the brakes, maybe a little bit conservative, but as he comes off the corner as the exit he's looking for, it's a pretty good exit, and he should have a very good gap, because out front, Wayne Losh is going to win, and he goes through into the main event with victory in race number 2. Mazuris will come across in P2, and back in the battle for P3, it will be Jordan Michaels that picks up the final transfer spot. Elliot Andrew and David Huizo run side by side to the line. Andrew picking up P4, Huizo P5. Rest of the drivers coming across the start-finish line then. On your screen there, out of the final corner, a close battle for P10. Neil Gardner trying to fend off a laps car, actually. Yeah, that was them coming across the line there. We'll wait for everyone to finish off their laps, and then we'll take a look at your race results here for the all-comers split 2, race 2, as we get ready for race 1 of the main event and qualifying, which will be in a few minutes' time, which will be live right here on this broadcast on the Global SimRacing Channel. Let's take a look at your results then as everyone finishes their race. And of course, we know the top 3, Wayne Losh, Angelo Mazuris, and Jordan Michaels. Elliot Andrew came home just short after starting race 2. In 40th place, he finished 4th. Now that is going to be slightly heartbreaking for him to not transfer after that, up 36 spots. David Huizo started 7th, finished 5th. Benjamin Adams, Rowan Shepherd, Greg Hurst, Michael Ferguson, and Neil Gardner running out your top 10.
There's a driver who's come home in 11th, a flat 40 seconds behind the race winner, Sam Thompson. He comes home in 11th, Chris Robertson in 12th, James Parkinson, Murray Brook 13th and 14th, Joel Herbert and Craig Brock 15th and 16th, Kyle Gaines and Daniel Harris 17th and 18th. We also got Will Kitching and Andrew Altman in 19th and 20th.
To the rest of the results, cycle through on your screen there, with all the drivers finishing a lap down or more, running into issues like Liam McDonald, who unfortunately out from the lead of the race after contact with Shepherd. Gene Rawlinson was up the order at one stage, only comes across 30th in the end for him. Fewer disaster stories up and down the order. Matthew Pluck, another driver that could have been on for a very good race, unfortunately ran into issues. Cameron Freeman, another one. Tight track provides tight racing and a lot of big incidents and action there on the racetrack. What we're going to do is we're going to go to a break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We're going to go load ourselves up to the main event server, and when we come back, we'll bring you qualifying for the main event here on the 2K Cup on the Global SimRacing Channel. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel to 2K Cup Sunday iRacing League in the Mazda MX5 today from the Tsukuba circuit in Japan. We've just seen the action conclude for the all-comers split, the warm-up event for the main event, which is getting underway now. The pro drivers that we love to see racing each other in cars. You'd never see them racing in real life, certainly not in the same category as each other, at least anyway. Some of the advanced drivers from the all-comers are here, such as Wayne Losh and Angelo Mazuris, who himself is a pro driver. Qualifying is currently underway, and some notable names up at the top. Liam Lawson and Matthew Payne are 1 and 2. Van Gisbergen, as always, is in the battle for P10, sitting 14th at the moment. And Mark Mallard, one of the men responsible for the 2K Cup in real life and the Sim League as well, is with us here on the Comstocks for a chat here in qualifying. Mark, welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel booth once again. Good to have you back with us, and tell us about the 2K Cup. Or not. I think we've lost Mark. Mark's mic is not working at the moment, it would seem. So we'll try that again in a few moments' time. Out on the racetrack, almost everyone has set lap times. This isn't a track where you want to start in the back and do the last to first challenge, because so much chaos. It only works very rarely. It works very well for the man in 4th place at the end of race 2 in the all-comers from 40th to 4th, but that's about it. 8 minutes remaining in the session, and it's the F3 driver that leads from the KZ2 champion. Ryan Wood sat in 3rd place, Darren Lobb in 4th, Warren Crowther, your 5th place driver at the moment.
So Ghost drivers have already begun setting their lap times, and within this server we do observe that the lap times in general, they are within 2 seconds, just 2 seconds between the fastest one, the provisional poster, and the one towards the end of the field. So only 2 seconds separate almost everyone.
For the second time, we'll try to grab Mark Mallard and see if his mic is working, because we would love him to tell us about the 2K Cup. But it looks like it's not going to happen. But I can tell you the 2K Cup is a real-life series with budget race cars, with a max budget of $2,000 value of the car, and they race all over New Zealand. And a lot of those drivers are here right now. Warren Crowther is one of the front runners of the series, and he's sat up in 6th. Van Gisbergen in 3rd. It's a big storyline because every qualifying session this season, he has either not qualified or foxed his way into starting 10th and nabbing provisional pole. This time, it looks like he's just going for it and trying to get himself into a good battle with Lawson and Payne right from the get-go. What a battle we've seen between those drivers into this series so far. A reminder that the incident points are not going to be as big of a factor. Disqualifications are no longer an issue, but you will still get a drive-through when you come across 30 incident points, of which you get 4 points for contact, heavy contact with another car, and 1 point for using too much of the racetrack, going off into the grass. So it is easy to rack up 30. Every 5 after 30, you also cop another drive-through.
No change in terms of racing requirements from earlier on. Incident limits do remain as you just stated. But of course, with this track, I think 30 incidents is kind of just nice. Perhaps given the considerations given to a race of this specific nature. Of course, Tsukuba is not exactly the easiest of tracks. And also, given that there are so many cars packed within this one small circuit, I think some concessions do have to be made.
Yeah, most certainly. And watching Van Gisbergen again, let's go on board with Van Gisbergen. This should be a new segment in this broadcast. We did it. We did a lap around the Roval with SVG. Now we'll do a lap of Tsukuba, albeit picking it up from turns 5 and 6. So we'll follow him through. This is towards the back part of the circuit now. This is turn 11. You got to set yourself up well here, because if you don't get a good exit, your lap is ruined. The exit is crucial because it leads onto this very big back straightaway. And look at the traffic he's having to contend with here in qualifying. And it's going to really hurt him. Turn 12 is very tricky. It's a long corner and very easy to lose a rear through. You can see him fighting the wheel. He was actually turned to the left for quite a bit on entry to stop it, and on the exit, fighting that car, fighting for grip through the corner, and it looks like a very good lap. He improves by a tenth of a second, and he goes up to P2 as a result. Turn 1's a good corner too, because you naturally take a shallow entry to it, which means it's very hard for someone to get by you, because you're naturally defending into there. And then turns 2, 3, and 4 are that little slalom there. Turns 5 and 6 is this left-hander, which is actually slightly cambered and banked, just a little bit. Trying to figure out who's on a lap and who's not. With so much traffic, people keep having to abandon their lap times. James Watson is 10th. Watson was 10th at the end of qualifying last round too, which put him on provisional pole, which we were assured was 100% intentional. I still have my doubts about that, but either way, he's in there again, and there's just 0.02 of a second separating him and Alistair Hawkins behind. That's Van Gisbergen again, coming across, not with a better lap this time. That livery is unmissable. Apparently that car coming out of pits was not unmissable, and he's hit him twice, in fact. Liam Lawson is going to bring his car down a pit lane, fastest by just half a tenth. 1/10 covering Lawson, Van Gisbergen, and Payne. Looks like that battle is going to be very, very good as well today. Here is Matthew Payne on the entry to turn 12. Of course, none of this would be possible without our sponsors for this series, of who everything becomes possible. And without them, we don't have a broadcast, we don't have a series. Storite Logistics have been on board for the whole season, and they are your logistics partner for your needs right across New Zealand. Cream Insurance came on board a few rounds ago. We're glad to have them with us. And also glad to introduce, for the first time today, coming on board, IQ Security. They've seen the success of this series. They want a part of it. We're glad to have you. IQ Security, Cream Insurance, and Store Right Logistics. Make this possible. And this is why you'll start at home watching a broadcast of the 2K Cup on iRacing.
At the moment, provisional pole leading the charge of affairs will still be Liam Lawson. His lap time is still 1 minute 3.2. And Shane Van Gisbergen very close by for 100th of a second. So we can see that the margins here are absolutely minimal in comparison to most other tracks.
Only under 2 minutes left, which is only good enough for one lap around this racetrack. So this is the money side now for these drivers out there. Liam Lawson's just started a lap. Let's take a look at him then as he runs through turns 1 and then into turns 2, 3, and 4. Can he find an improvement late to give himself some sort of margin to hopefully make himself a bit more comfortable out here on the pole position, which is actually 10th, and the top 10 get inverted for the start of this race as he comes out of turn number 6. Trying to get away from the guys behind so they don't involve themselves in this lap. Hopefully not going to run up to the back of the guys in front because they could very much hinder him. That's Callum Hedge and Jordan Michaels. Michaels, the other driver to advance from the all-comers. The top 3 advancing and booking their spot in this event. Down the back straight, going to get a distant double toe off the back of these drivers up into turn 12. He'll come out of the corner and almost immediately come across the start-finish line.
Red Bull Junior driver is along the final corner. Of course, the two cars in front going a little bit wide. Unfortunately, does not improve on his previous qualifying lap time, which still means that he's still holding on to the provisional pole.
It does. Van Gisbergen's in the pit, so he's not going to improve. Darren Lobb won our first broadcasted of red. He is sat 5th at the moment, so he'll start 5th if he stays there. Matt McCutcheon's 13th, trying to find an improvement of 0.04 of a second to put himself 10th and on the pole for race number 1. There's just 7 seconds remaining. He's just going to get there to complete the lap. Or is he? As he comes out of the final corner across the line, he gets there, but it's not enough. He will stay 13th. Your top 10 are inverted, so this is how they'll line up for race 1 here of the main event, the 2K Cup. Pole position goes to James Watson. Again, Billy Fraser starts alongside him, Callum Hedge from 3rd, Warren Crowther on the outside of row 2. Ansel Rafael Sabo and Darren Lobb 5th and 6th. Tanya Wood and Matthew Payne 7th and 8th. Van Gisbergen 9th. Lawson 10th.
Beginning from 11th will be Alistair Hawkins and Matt Stevens in 12th. Matt McCutcheon and Corey Ross will begin from 13th and 14th. Jada Mason and Aaron Ivers 15th and 16th. Rowan Shepherd, Matthew Smith 17th and 18th. Wayne Losh and Alex Purley will begin from 19th and 20th.
You will see the rest of your drivers on the leaderboard as this race gets underway. The way the iRacing service sets itself up for these heat races doesn't allow us to show you a proper grid, but you can still see the names down the left-hand side. And I've been informed that, again, it was very much planned from James Watson to be on pole. Apparently, he was practicing his laps to the thousandths of a second to make sure he was going to be 10th. Whether I believe it, well, I don't know. You make up your own mind. You have to be one very talented man to be 10th 2 rounds in a row on purpose, but hey, he's got the talent. Kudos to him, because it's going to put him in a very good spot for this race. It didn't help him last round. He got swallowed up at the start. He's going to want a much better one at this time. As the red lights come on here at Tsukuba, race 1 of the main event is underway, and a great start from 3rd place. And that's going to be Callum Hedge shooting straight through to the lead down at turn number 1. Fraser having to watch out for Sabo around his outside as they all shake through the corner. Someone got sideways up in the top 10, but the rest of the field, they're all through cleanly. A very clean start from the field as they run down into turns 5 and 6. It's Callum Hedge that leads them. Crowther stuck on the outside of 3 abreast with Lawson and Darren Lobb to his inside. And now Van Gisbergen will draw alongside Lawson and take that spot away.
It's a fantastic start by all the drivers. Callum Hedge leads the race. In fact, he began from 3rd and he is now in the race lead ahead of James Watson. He is steadily building up a gap ahead of everyone else.
Very good start from Matthew Payne to put himself in 5th place, 3 spots ahead of his rivals in Van Gisbergen and Lawson. Van Gisbergen sliding up the inside of Darren Lobb. There at the final corner, edges him out, takes the spot away, and Lawson is going to follow him through. And behind, look at Ryan Woods trying to defend Matt Stevens. Lawson's going to get hit. He saves it with help from Darren Lobb on his outside, but damage now to both sides of the front of Lawson's car. He's still struggling. His car's in trouble. He's sideways and into the fence with Alistair Hawkins. He goes.
A huge carnage as we've got even more cars in front coming together. Now, of course, this would mean that many drivers, the positions have all become scrambled and many drivers losing positions hand over fist.
And it all stemmed from what you'll see on the replay here. A massive defensive move from Ryan Wood and Matt Stevens trying to go up the inside. Just overcooked it and got into the back of Lawson. Lawson saved it, but I think when he got hit from the right and the left, it damaged the steering on his car. And it did there. You can see it just unloaded itself in a straight line. And he could not hang on to it. Big contact for him. But being lap 1, we have seen in this season already, going to the back isn't a big disaster for these big name drivers. We've seen Van Gisbergen drive from the back to the front multiple times to book himself a top 10 starting spot for race 2, as Billy Fraser just got edged out back in live pictures too. And the battle at the front is looking very good, with Payne up to third and now Van Gisbergen in fifth.
And this is the battle for first. For the first time, I do believe, for the first time, we do have a battle pack that is extending all the way to include the race leader. Payne tries to look for a move done ahead of Watson. Of course, they all go towards a single file as they take advantage of one another's slipstream as they make their way through the back stretch. Van Gisbergen thinking of a move along the inside, but at the same time, similar move by Payne as Watson slightly opened the door earlier.
And this puts Lawson 2 laps down as well as they go by him in the pit lane. Payne to the inside, Van Gisbergen to the inside. They both pick up a spot in unison. Down at turn number 1 as there's a laps car down on the inside of the track there. That was Sabo that unfortunately has lost out big time after a good start for him. And now Van Gisbergen's going to be trying to get by Watson as well. After he started from the pole and now starting to get swallowed up by these other drivers. A 1.2 second margin for Callum Hedge out front. Back to Matthew Payne in second. Then comes Van Gisbergen lunging up the inside of Watson and making that move stick very cleanly. Good move from him. Puts himself up into P3. And now Watson's got to watch out for Crowther looking to capitalise as well.
We ride on board Crowther as we have a good perspective of the affairs in front of him. Makes use of good slipstream from James Watson. And is he going to go for a move down turn 1? Nope, not exactly. Of course, no drivers making any moves work at this point, as they're not close enough to one another. They come upon this SS section before they come towards this left hairpin. Hard on the brakes they go, left-hander at this point. Van Gisbergen and Payne in front, and this is Watson right in front of Crowther.
He'll be trying to get the run out of turn number 6 here. Sorry, not turn 6. Turn 11 here. They are very similar corners, just the other way around. To try and get the run down the back straight, but he's done exactly that, hasn't he? Up the inside, got the momentum, and now draws alongside as we go to a replay. That's Hayden Warrington. And this is a massive crash, says our director. Any second now. Right here, he says. There goes the car. There's the checkup. 4 cars around. There's a little crash. No one's on the roof. But a crash that takes out a few drivers in that spot. Crowther got by Watson in the meantime, back on live pictures as we continue to look at another replay. No, we're not. Okay. We're back live, folks. Callum Hedge is now under a lot of pressure from Matthew Payne and Shane Van Gisbergen. The top 3 have closed up dramatically now.
That is Crowther making a little bit of swerving there to try to find the best defensive line through the back stretch. Hedge leads Payne and Van Gisbergen around the final corner, and this is going to shape up to be quite an exciting battle. They are beginning to form a slight bit of breakaway. Van Gisbergen along the inside of Payne, and he is going to take P2 away from Payne, and they come upon the next few corners. Is Payne going for a comeback move? What this has made, however, is it has given Hedge a little bit of a positional advantage as he's gained himself quite a bit of a gap ahead of Van Gisbergen.
.3 seconds the margin now, first to second and third. And I'm just trying to have a look at where Lawson's shaking out and all this. He's now 34th. There's only 1 lap down. There's one other car a solitary lap off the pace, and with approximately 25 laps remaining, still a chance for Lawson to get back inside of the top 20, top 15 maybe, see how far he can go, how much chaos this is in the field. You never know what may happen in 2K Cup. This series has put on some fantastic races so far. And with Van Gisbergen and Payne separated by nothing once again, it's looking like it's going to resume today. Look in the background, a great battle unfolding between Ryan Wood, Billy Fraser, and Matt Stevens for P number 6 on the racetrack. And Ryan Wood bowls the big wide down at turn 1. Fraser will draw alongside Mario, his livery. The Mario, as I'm going to call him, will now try to look to the inside for turn 5, but well covered off from Wood.
We ride on board the bright yellow MX5 of Matt Stevens as he sits behind the Mario MX5, coming upon this right-hand hairpin. Because the gap between Fraser and Wood sit at 4/10 of a second, and it is now slipstream time as they use some toe towards the final corner.
On board, we're on board as he now looks to potentially make a move up the inside, not quite able to get there. Fraser very wide of the apex, cops a whack to his rear bumper as a result. And now they'll stay single file up 9 of estimated to be 32. Of course, it is a timed race. We complete 33 minutes before 33 laps comes up. Only just, I should mention. So, should be 32 laps here.
We are 9 laps in, and the cars are still quite closely packed with one another. That given the fact that this circuit is quite a short one, so everyone is that close to one another. Callum Hedge still leads this race, and he is maintaining a second worth of a gap ahead of positions 2 and 3. It is at this point where the drivers would come to face some lap traffic, so it is going to pose additional challenges to drivers, especially those up front who are fighting for positions. They will have lap traffic to factor in.
Hedge is starting to get closed down now again by Van Gisbergen and Payne. And Payne is not really closing in. Well, sorry, he's not letting Van Gisbergen close in while dropping him. So these two, I think, working together here. I reckon Payne's probably got a bit more pace than he's showing, but he doesn't want to put pressure on Van Gisbergen and slow him down. He's happy to follow Van Gisbergen through until they catch Callum Hedge, and then they can start battling away for the lead of the race. Further back, good battle for P8 on the racetrack. Matt Stevens, Aaron Ivers, and not Mario, but Luigi, Matt McCutcheon. This is McCutcheon, and that rearview mirror terrifies the living daylights out of me. So he moves up the inside and will take it away because Ivers is too wide out of the final corner and makes it very easy for McCutcheon, and he'll follow Stevens in getting that spot picked up pretty easily.
Because Stevens leads McCutcheon. Of course, these drivers are so close to each other at this point.
Yes, at this point they are. 4/10 now out front. It's getting even closer still. And it almost looks like everyone's coming with him, doesn't it? Crowther's just back there. Not the 4th car in line, that's a lap stop, but the 5th car in line, that is your 4th place driver, Warren Crowther. Van Gisbergen takes a slightly wider line through turn 12 there, trying to find the most grip he can through the final corner, and he goes up the inside, trying to go late on the brakes, but Hedge is up to the challenge. Now he's going to have to defend the inside line. They'll run wheel to wheel down into turn number 5 and 6. Van Gisbergen on the outside of the racetrack. Payne just laying off behind. That allows Van Gisbergen to get the crossover move. And Hedge just gets edged out, but he's just got a nose back up there. And Van Gisbergen leaves him the room. So Hedge is back up the inside. Still wheel to wheel for the lead of the race. Can he throw a move back up the inside for turn 11? Van Gisbergen covers it off, and Payne trying to drive around the outside now of Callum Hedge. Should get the run off this corner and the slipstreams from Van Gisbergen. So now Matthew Payne up into P2 and Van Gisbergen immediately trying to shake that slipstream.
But it's Payne going for another move down the final corner. He's trying to find that gap, but the gap has been closed by Van Gisbergen as he tries, or as he defends his race lead. They come upon the start-finish line and the main stretch once again. It's Van Gisbergen going for a defensive move down the first corner. That's not necessary as they break into the first corner. Hedge might be looking for a comeback move anytime soon.
Payne all over the back of him, almost helping him through turns 5 and 6. The field right up on the back of the battle for the lead now, with just side by side for a couple corners, making everyone to catch up to them. And if they go side by side again, this is going to really light up, as that laps car is John Midgley just getting in the way of Warren Crowther. Now he's going to get out of the way and allow him to go through, and that's going to unleash him as Payne's got to slow down. It looks like he's very slow, or he's just got a poor run. He very aggressively switched to the inside to cover off Callum Hedge, but couldn't quite do it. Hedge just snuck between himself and the white line. Up into P2 then. That's allowed a gap to form to Van Gisbergen out front as Payne chases him all the way back to the inside of the racetrack. Draws half a car alongside him. Still, they touch out of the corner.
Nearly wheel to wheel as Payne tries to regain his second position. Oh, it does force a mistake out of Callum Hedge. And this would lead to Callum Hedge losing second place, and potentially, rather, this would allow for Crowther to be part of this battle as well. It is now a battle for second position that extends down to P4.
Yeah, 1 second margin for Van Gisbergen. He will love that at the moment. He'll see in his rearview mirror the battling that's going on behind him. He'll be hoping it continues. We'll see now if Payne's got the pace to catch Van Gisbergen, not just stay with him, because he has to close it down to try and get back to the lead of the race. Don't forget, though, the top 10, they're going to be inverted for the start of race number 2 here. So whoever wins this will have to start 10th, which is why Lawson's not quite out of it, because even the guys he was racing won't be on the pole for this one, unless they have some issues. As, look at that, on the grass, trying to find a way by there, Callum Hedge. There was no way by. Crowther gets turned right in front of Billy Fraser, and around he goes. And Callum Hedge has gone around as well. I have to get a replay what happened there, because we didn't see how Hedge went around. Crowther got turned from behind on the entry of the corner, but Hedge went around a bit later. He pushed Payne wide on the off the apex, got to his inside. Here is the replay. So this is from a slightly different angle, from up top, shopper cam, we'll call it. And that's Hedge trying to find his way to the inside, almost cut the track. Might have got a slowdown for that, in fact. Pushes him wide. You can see Crowther get turned behind. When Crowther got turned, he just flipped the back of Callum Hedge, which turned him around. Really unlucky for Hedge there. So the battle resumes for P3 now, because leaving P3, Payne and Wood are comfortable in second and third. It's P4 that is alive. Fraser with a 7/10 margin to the back of Watson, with Stevens behind him, McCutcheon as well.
So, of course, positions have been reshuffled at this point. Tanya Wood is all the way up to third. And, of course, with James Watson, Billy Fraser, Matt Stevens, and Mac McCutcheon in that Luigi MX5, these are your reshuffled top 7 positions at this point. This is Callum Hedge. and we observe from Callum Hedge in front of him, Vodanovic and Lawson going at it through turn 1. As they make their way through this left hairpin. A little bit of contact earlier on, but none of that over here as they now prepare for the next hairpin, this right hander. Not hairpin, I'm sorry. The SS section. So as the drivers ride their way through the backstretch and the final corner, this is Wood. Rather, it is Billy Fraser who has just made his way around the final corner. Did open the gap a slight bit, but it wasn't enough for Matt Stevens to make the move through the final corner. They come upon the right hander, the right hairpin, and onto these S's and up to this left hairpin. This is the battle for 4th position, which is held by James Watson at this moment. Billy Fraser, Matt Stevens, 5th and 6th, and right behind Matt Stevens is McCutcheon.
You know who the fastest car of the top 3 is? It's Ryan Wood with a 1 minute 4.2. Matthew Payne, 1 minute 4.3, and then Van Gisbergen, a 1 minute 4.5. So he's the slowest of the leading trio out front. So he might get caught by both drivers by the time this race comes to its conclusion. James Watson there under a lot of pressure from Fraser and Stevens. We'll continue to watch this battle as well, just behind the leading 3 as they come across, and they'll trigger themselves on to lap number 19 of this event. Well and truly over halfway through this one now.
Traders, we are at 12 laps to go. Van Gisbergen, your current race leader, Payne and Wood, 2nd and 3rd. Of course, the gaps between these drivers have become a little bit more evened out, but that's not the case for Watson as he comes under pressure from Fraser. Fraser along the inside of the hairpin, he takes about there. Is he going to take? He takes P4. Matt Stevens all the way down to P6 at this time. Or rather, James Watson down to P5, and it's going to be Matt Stevens' turn to brush the bumper off James Watson. He just did that, but he's also got McCutcheon to the right. And they come towards this hairpin. The advantage is going to go to McCutcheon. They don't come into contact at this point. And that would be a lapped car, Sabo, who's also looking to have a piece of the pie.
Stevens shows a nose for just a little second there. Thought better of it. And McCutcheon doesn't have to defend into turn 12, but he will have to defend into turn 1 because there's a very good run from Stevens. Uses all of the racetrack on the exit and gets himself to the outside of McCutcheon. That's not what he would have wanted. Going to try to switch back and get to his inside off the exit, but McCutcheon's wary to it. Just held up his run through the middle of the corner to prevent that from happening. And he'll hold off P6 as a result. Payne continuing to lap quicker than Van Gisbergen, so he's really starting to reel him in. 1.2 seconds the margin now. We'll stay with these guys, though. This is where the battle is at the moment.
Exciting battles happening at this point. That is Fraser going a little bit deep down the hairpin. Of course, maybe going to hurt his pace by just a little bit, but he does have a margin of 0.7 of a second ahead of James Watson. McCutcheon using good slipstream, getting a good tow from Watson as Watson got a little bit of a poor entry through the final corner, and this is going to perhaps allow McCutcheon to close the gap. They make their way around the exit of the final corner onto the main street. McCutcheon tries to go along the inside, but not close enough to send it in towards the inside of Watson. Stevens wants a piece of this as well.
That laps car just behind him is Sabo. He's not in the fight, but he is just there watching. Got a front row seat. The battle for P number 6 in this race. P5 even. Watson just down in front. On board with Sabo then as we take a look and hijack his front row seat. The car just in front of him is Matt Stevens. Then McCutcheon, Watson. And Fraser as well is really starting to fall back into him. Take a look at the number plate of Matt Stevens, we have been asked by our director. I need glasses because if you can read that, I can't. Oh, it says that he is slow. I'm not falling for that. I know. I'm not going to say what it says because then they'd be insinuating something that's not true. Let's change the topic and look at the racetrack because there's a move and McCutcheon's through, and the slow one is going to follow him.
Stevens along the outside, McCutcheon along the inside. I think he manages to defend Stevens and maintains his sixth position. Now, of course, these drivers are still all very close together. Sabo still still kind of wants a piece of this pie as we do have a look at Ivers going along the inside. He comes into contact with Matt Stevens through that right hairpin. As they make their way down this backstretch into the final corner, Ivers not exactly in the square position to make use of the toe from Matt Stevens, but he goes along the inside of the final corner. Is he going to get a better exit? Now, it does look like Matt Stevens has gotten just a little bit more of the momentum in order to slingshot himself in front, but Ivers along the inside through the first corner. He's going to make it work this time, and he goes up to 7th.
9 minutes to go in this event. Should be about 9 laps to go as well. Look at that at front. Van Gisbergen has been absolutely shut down by Matthew Payne. He's all over him now for the lead of the race. And these two are going to put on a show. Van Gisbergen surely is going to defend on this one. He's going to want to come away with the win. He's not had a good round or so since coming across with the win. At Laguna Seca, he's been on his roof. He's crashed out. He's been disqualified. He's had a rough run of it. He's been up the front all races, though. Let's see how he goes then. Down onto the main straight to turn 1. Does Payne show the nose? He does. Van Gisbergen takes his racing line, which naturally defends the corner, as I've been saying all night long. And Payne has to wait. And I can see that being a flashpoint for someone in this battle when the car in front takes their racing line, because it opens up the door deceptively, invitingly for a move, but it's not really there.
Because Payne and Gisbergen ever so slightly increasing their margin ahead of Wood, who sits in third. So it's all about trying to maintain a good, comfortable margin, kind of a good enough margin for them to retain this battle comfortably at this point. Payne is, of course, giving Van Gisbergen a run for his money, and he's probably going to go for along the inside. No, does not quite make the inside. The gap is just not close enough for Payne to make it work.
Was that damage always there on Payne's car? On the front left? It's been there for a while, but I hadn't actually noticed it or registered it. So he's doing well despite that damage to carry the pace he is. This might be a chance. No, he doesn't go for it. He's making sure that when he makes this move, it is clean, because we've seen so much drama at the front between Van Gisbergen, Payne and Lawson over the races so far this season. Almost always someone's come off worse for wear. There's only 2 of them this time, so hopefully it should be a very good, clean, professional battle through and through. It almost was at the Roval until I opened my mouth and said it was very professional, and 3 seconds later, not even 3 seconds later, Van Gisbergen was on his roof. So I'm not going to make any comments on how good the racing is. This might be the opportunity. He's showing the nose. Van Gisbergen's defending. Payne late on the brakes, round the outside. Gets a long way alongside him. They come together. There's contact. And Van Gisbergen emerges still out front with 6 laps to go.
Brilliant driving by Van Gisbergen and Payne, both of them going so hard against each other. I've also got a battle ongoing over down in P10 between Vodanovic and Lob. Remember, we do have a reverse grid at this point, so the winner of this race will begin from 10th later on. A bit of contact, trading pains bumper between Payne and Van Gisbergen.
Gonna be 5 to go when we come to the start-finish line, this time by... And I'm hoping it doesn't get too much more exciting, because I already need a throat lozenge as it is. Not sure if you can tell. My voice is a bit worse for wear at the moment. I'm thankful for the day off tomorrow, but hopefully this race continues to put on the fireworks. There's Payne all over him still. Lapped cars in front as well. That may play a part. A battle further back. This is for 9th. Callum Hedge and Darren Lott. Whoever loses this battle is on pole for race 2.
This Lob and Vodanovic alongside each other. This is the fight for not the race win, but for the pole position for the next heat race. Lob trading pains with Vodanovic. Both drivers exchanging positions all throughout the last couple of laps, and they've only got 5 minutes to make this work. Will it be Vodanovic or Lob who'll attain that coveted 10th position?
Payne and Van Gisbergen just made contact and they're rubbing again, and they're both off the track. Payne into the fence, Van Gisbergen through the grass. Again, disaster at the front. Every time without fail, someone ends up in the wall. This time it's Matthew Payne, and it started down the back straightaway. We'll pick it up as they came through turn 11. A great run for Matthew Payne. Got to the rear bumper of Shane Van Gisbergen's car. And then in the slipstream, down the back straightaway, Van Gisbergen moves over to defend. Payne went to the outside. Van Gisbergen tried to come back to the racing line, straight into the side of him. Then they made more contact in the middle of the corner, and Payne just got edged out to the outside of the track and left absolutely zero racing room there. You wouldn't believe it, but Matthew Payne's now on provisional pole.
Yes, we head back to live pictures. Hedge just made the move against Payne for P8, and this means that although Payne has gotten a little bit further back, he's currently in P9. This would mean that he would have an advantageous starting position. Who's that who's gone around ahead of Payne? It would look like the lap car of Sabo. He's just been turned around for a little bit across the final corner.
So Van Gisbergen still leads. He's got a 6/10 margin over Ryan Wood in second place now. You can see the damage to the left side of that car on the front and the back. He was on the bumper of Ryan Wood, on his front bumper, just a lap ago after the contact, but he's managed to pull away from him. You can see Mario and Luigi in the background in 3rd and 4th. I desperately want to see Mario and Luigi go side by side, see who wins that battle. And then Watson in 5th at the moment. Payne's got a very comfortable margin behind if he's carrying damage. He's got 5 seconds to 10th.
We are at 2 minutes to go. McCutcheon goes ever so close to Fraser, but at the same time, Wood and Van Gisbergen, 7/10 of a second separate these two drivers, and they come upon the entry to the first hairpin. Of course, they've not got much time. Van Gisbergen, for him, is all about trying to defend his race lead at this point.
There is Mario and Luigi through turns 5 and 6. Billy Fraser, Matt McCutcheon. Fraser repping Team Mario, McCutcheon repping Team Luigi. These two will be fierce rivals, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure they're actually good friends, but for the context of this battle, they're going to be fierce rivals as McCutcheon looks to the outside then with just 2 laps to go. 1 to go when they come across the line. Can he get the run? A very even exit from the corner, and Fraser all the way to the inside trying to defend the position, forcing McCutcheon to go the long way round up here at the final corner. Wheel to wheel. Cleaner than Van Gisbergen and Payne. Very clean between them. Plenty of room being given. Side by side then for P3. Coming down to the white flag, Billy Fraser still on the inside line. McCutcheon still trying to go the long way around. Fraser takes that spot away, and McCutcheon will have to settle for fourth for now, unless you can find something else in the last half a lap.
Both drivers duking it out at this very, very crucial point of this race. Oh, they come into contact. Trading paints there. Trading paints between red and green. That's very interesting, Luigi and Mario. Because, look, these two drivers, they are 2-3 seconds behind Wood, but that does not matter as it's all about solidifying their positions at this very point.
Coming down the back straight away for the final time, Shane van Gisbergen. Provided that car behind doesn't prove nuisance, out of the final quarter, Van Gisbergen wins race 1 of the main event here at Tsukuba in the 2K Cup. A controversial win after the contact with Payne, but he gets it done. He'll start race 2 from 10th. Fraser holds off McCutcheon for P3. Matthew Payne will come across in P9. Medanovic in 10th means he'll start from pole for race number 2. Leon Fox trying to go the long way around here in the battle for 18th place. That won't resolve. He'll come across in 18th. Last few cars trundling across the start-finish line. Short lap times, so it won't take too long. Ooh, side by side to the line. Looks like car on the inside won that one. Let's take a look at your results then from Tsukuba for race 1 of 2 here in the main event. Shane van Gisbergen's margin of victory was 3.5 tenths back to Ryan Wood. Then, we had it, and then we didn't have it. And we have it again. Billy Fraser and McCutcheon, 3rd and 4th. Ivers in 5th. Stevens, Watson, 6th and 7th. Callum Hedge, Matthew Payne, Peter Vidanovic, rounding out your top 10.
Darren Love comes home in 11th with Purley in 12th. Chris Simon in 13th. Jada Mason in 14th. Rowan Shepard, Zach Thompson, 15th and 16th. Matthew Smith, Leon Fox, Taylor Cockerton, and Thomas Paul round up your top 20 finishers.
See the rest of the results cycle through on your screen. And third time is a charm, they say. And so with that, we ask Mark Mallard again. Tell us about the 2K Cup.
Have we got you this time?
You do.
Oh, fantastic. Sorry about that. Mic problems and things like that. No, 2K Cup's the largest series we've got in New Zealand, and we've been running now for 8 years, and some of our members have been done every race we've ever had, and doing them all in the virtual world as well, and we've managed to bring along a few names as well, with the likes of Shane van Gisbergen and Liam Lawson showing their talents, but the likes of Vidanovic and Watson, who have raced in 2K Cup. It's great to see all the New Zealand races out there.
Yeah, most certainly is. And so, in terms of the series, this is around 6 of 8. So, only a couple rounds left. There is a pretty big event, though, coming up for 2.
Yeah, we've thrown a massive new event in for the last weekend of New Zealand's hopeful lockdown level 3, which is going to be a Bathurst 6-hour race. And we've got $1,000 cash prize money to the winner if they are a 2K Cup driver, like in the normal series. And if someone who doesn't have a 2K Cup driver wins in it, we're going to give them $1,000 entry into 2K Cup and a drive in a 2K Cup race car as well on a test day. So really big prizes, and we've got lots of other sponsors, IQ Security, which you've seen on the sponsorships come in, Storeright, Endless Brakes in New Zealand at Pro Sport Autos, Harcourt's down in, I think it's Christchurch, has come on board too. So we've got lots of sponsors come on board, heaps of prizes. For a Pro-Am race, it's going to be one of the coolest races, and something good to end the lockdown in New Zealand, hopefully.
Yeah, most certainly. And it will be broadcasted right here on the Global SimRacing Channel with myself and probably Weihan Chan as well. The full commentary team yet to be announced, but looking forward to covering that up here on GSRC, and we will show you the dates and the times once they're all confirmed. In terms of looking forward past that, do you think there might be a season 2 of this, depending on how much longer this lockdown continues?
Well, I'm sure we'll continue on something. There's been so much interest in things like that, so we're definitely talking about having another season coming up, and what we do with cars, whether our pro race maybe goes in something a little bit quicker and out we keep our rookies and Mazdas, but we're just looking at different ideas, and it's just been so fun doing what we've done so far, and it's got so big. So watch the space. We'll always keep on going. 2K Cup's a series that's always going to be innovating, and this iRacing has been innovative to get so many different people out there racing, and that's what we're trying to do.
I certainly has. Before we let you go, Mark, and let you get on with your stuff, is there anyone else you need to thank, or anything else you want to get across to us?
Well, unfortunately, Peter Debadanovic, Callum Hedge, and James Watson and myself are all sort of running a bit of a team, and you'll see they've all got no liveries. We've had a bit of a problem with the liveries, so we'd like to thank IQ Security that's come along and supported the team. I'm not sure why they don't have liveries, so we're going to go and find out what's happening with that. But thanks to IQ, and Storride also supports that team of drivers too. So we're going to have some announcements coming out about some names. We're going to put together a pretty good team for the Bathurst race out of that, and hopefully we see a whole lot of other races out there too. We're going to see some, hopefully New Zealand's best out there running for some pretty cool prizes.
Well, thank you for joining us here once again and getting your mic issues sorted so we could have this conversation with you. And good luck with everything. I'm looking forward to seeing how the 6 hour goes, looking forward to covering it. And I guess we'll talk to you again. It was Mark Mallard, one of the men responsible for the 2K Cup, and Wei Harming got 5 minutes left here in the warm-up session. Should be a very good race, this one.
Yeah, it will be. Of course, with the reverse grid in order, it would mean that Vodanovic will start from pole later on, and Van Gisbergen will start from P10. So that is the reversal of the top 10 drivers.
Yeah, and it means a few drivers are going to have to drive through the field. Liam Lawson, by the way, ended up finishing in 25th position, so he'll start from there for race 2. So if he gets a good start, he might be able to come through and finish somewhere close to the front, but with the pace that Matthew Payne's going to have, starting from P2, a win is going to be a tall order for anyone, really, who doesn't get through the pack very early on. He's got a big opportunity to open up a big gap, but Peter Vodanovic has got a lot of pace. He runs around, of course, in the Toyota 86 series across Australia and New Zealand in real life. Callum Hedge there in 3rd also does so. James Watson in 4th, who manages to start inside the top 5 the 2nd race in a row. Rund and Sang-Yong Ute in the 2K Cup. Plenty more talent throughout the tour. Billy Fraser, Formula 4 front runner in New Zealand. Van Gisbergen needs no introduction. Darren Lobb starting from 11th, just missed out in the top 10. 3-time sports car champion over in South Africa. Alex Purley is a drifter. And almost everyone in this field has some form of experience in real life, even if it is just 2K Cup. Seeing that 2K Cup has a lot of talent in it in real life. We're going to take a break for a minute here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll get ourselves ready for race 2, get our facts straight. When we come back, we'll take you through from green to checkers for race 2, the 2K Cup in event. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel, to the New Zealand Cup Sunday iRacing League. The New Zealand 2K Cup Sunday iRacing League, I should say. Apologies. Here at Tsukuba Circuit, getting ready for our final race of the evening, race 2 of the main event. Pole position, Vidanovic with Payne alongside. A very talented field ready to do battle one last time for 33 minutes around this racetrack. Remember, your top 10 are inverted from how they finished in race 1. So Van Gisbergen is going to have a few cars to pass. Lawson's got plenty of cars to pass from 25th on their grid. Payne's got an opportunity to run away with it from second. See Vidanovic there on the pole as well. Everyone gridding up. They have just a minute to grid up here before race number 2 for those red lights come on. And if you're not on the grid, you have to start from pit lane. And of course, fixed setup too for this series, so no one has to change their setups. No issue or worries about accidentally loading your quali set and having no feel for the race. It's all about the talent that the driver has in this series. And you can see the field on the run into turn 1. Half the field around the exit of the final corner. Tough start for some of these drivers. For Vidanovic and for Payne, it's a straight fight down up to turn 1 as the red lights come on for race 2, our 4th race of the night. The main event kicks off its finale with the green flag here at Tsukuba. A good start from Payne, a good start as well for Callum Hedge. 3 cars all shooting to the inside down for turn number 1. Hedge trying to follow Payne through, who takes the lead away. Hedge will follow him, and Vidanovic will lose out on the outside. He falls back to 3rd.
Great start by Payne. He leads with Hedge and Vidanovic behind him. A little bit of contact there. Some contact between some cars over at around the 10th position. Someone's gone around. It would look like Purley has gone around.
Yeah, Purley went around in the middle of the field, just off the next corner as well. So a few drivers running into issues here on lap number 1. Zach Thompson's just found the fence in a big way as well on the run in towards turn 11. Liam Lawson copped a whack. Now he's 4 wide and in trouble. And Thomas Paul gets turned around. Lawson keeps it straight, but he's lost a bit of the good progress he'd made on the early lap there. Sam Dunstall saw on that back straight. A lot of chaos up and down the order on lap number 1. As lap number 1 completes, your race leader is Matthew Payne by half a second back to Callum Hedge. Then Peter Vidanovic, Watson, Wood, Shane Van Gisbergen, Aaron Ivers, Darren Lobb, Billy Fraser, Matt McCutcheon, your top 10. There is Fraser making a move up the inside of Lobb. Gives him a hip check, and that allows McCutcheon to get up the inside too, but Lobb had a great exit. So McCutcheon to the wrong side of the track here for turn number 7. Door to door. Lobb takes it back away, and he's got the preferred line for the penultimate corner too. Although if McCutcheon can set himself up nicely, you might get a very strong exit out of here. Just up in
Love goes along the defensive. He takes the inside line, hoping to defend against McCutcheon. They prepare for the entry into the final corner.
The gap comes down between Payne and Hedge. Hedge putting the fastest lap of the race into that time by, so he's showing quite a bit of pace, and Payne might not have it all his way in this one if that continues. And Peter Vidanovic not letting him get away either. Only a second or so off of your race leaders. You see the whole field swoop down in turns 5 and 6. That second pack being led by Ryan Wood, Van Gisbergen, Ivers, Watson, Fraser, McCutcheon, all in there, plus a lot more, going all the way down to 12th place. Zach Thompson at the back of this train.
So I have a good view of the top 3 drivers currently up, perhaps trying to form a a battle pack. It is led by Matthew Payne with Callum Hedge and Peter Vodanovic within the top three. These three drivers beginning to form a little bit of breakaway as we do see a car that's gone around towards the middle pack of the field.
Didn't quite see who it was. Look at Lawson defending 20th place. He's only picked up 5 spots as a result of the contact at turn 11 on lap 1. He had picked up 5 spots already by that point, but that dropped him back a few more. He's got some of them back now, but he's still on the attack, and his car is looking almost like it did in race 1. Big damage to that one after he ended up 4 wide on the opening lap. He was very fortunate not to end up facing the wrong way.
Because this is Hawkins opening the door for Midgley to try to perhaps make the move up to 21st. Of course, this is very tight battling at this point. Lawson in 20th, Crowther in 19th, and Nagatoa in 18th. A bit of a bumper-to-bumper contact between Nagatoa and Crowther as Crowther goes up.
Is that out in the grass there?
Crowther.
Oh, that's unlucky. And it's going to be more drama in front of him as Hawkins sweeps around the outside. No one else made it through behind him. Jordan Michaels off the track. It was Nagatoa that got turned around. And they both get going after losing about half a dozen spots as a result of that. Back up towards the battle around the top 10 spots. That's Chris Simon on the back of Darren Lobb with McCutcheon and Fraser just in front of those guys. Fraser's all over the back of James Watson, but he can't fight a way by him yet. As the clouds retreat from over the circuit and becomes a little bit hotter out there.
This is quite a long train of cars along the backstretch. Everyone making use of the tow that they can offer one another.
Lap 6 complete then as Matthew Payne out front pumps in a new fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 3.619. So he extends his margin out at the head of this train. I've also been informed I've been pronouncing Natoa's name wrong. Apparently that's how you say it, or something closer to that. There's no G, it's a silent G apparently. So apologies for that.
We ride on board Wood as we observe Wood and Van Gisbergen going at it. They are in 4th and 5th respectively. Because these two drivers, they were up front during the first race. And they're just a few positions back from where they used to be right here at this race.
Yeah, Van Gisbergen's not got, well, as much pace as we expected. He's done a 3.7 that lap, which is on par with Matthew Payne, but only just quicker than Hedge and Vodanovic, and he's not made much progress since the first lap of the race. He's been going at quite a subdued rate at the moment, but his car is clean, so you might pick it up as the run goes on for him. He's still got Ryan Wood right behind him and Aaron Ivers, so he's still under a little bit of pressure here to keep up the momentum and the pace and try to break the draft as they make their way back onto the back straight one more time. We look further down the order to try to see who else may be having an exciting race at the moment. Lawson's up to P17 now, so he's continuing his charge. He's lapping about the same pace as 2nd and 3rd on the racetrack. And he is in traffic too, so he's done a pretty good job of it. Close battle there. Up into the penultimate corner. Looks like Natoa is in that, with Josh Cole up there as well. Brooke Murray in the middle, Cole at the front, Natoa at the back of this little group of cars. And Cole trying to fend him off, taking a very tight line through the final corner. As we've just taken a look at Shane Van Gisbergen there, who's Still single file out at the front. So you don't need to make any pit stops in this race because as it is a fixed setup, all the cars are fueled to make it through to the end, and tyres don't wear enough to warrant it. But the tyres certainly do still wear out, and it's only a 33-minute race, so it's not that long, but it can still make a difference depending on how aggressive you are, can't it?
Yeah, I think given the fact that, you know, I guess the tires on the MX5 CUP especially, these are kind of meant to be more resilient. As we have a look at Chris Simon, a little bit of a mistake which led to him plowing straight into the barrier, and that would probably spell an end to his race.
I couldn't resist. It said whammo
Yeah.
on the side of the car, and he went whammo into the wall.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Alrighty.
I think what's
No
been
direct-
interesting is that we've yet to identify, we've yet to discover an engine blow incident this race. I know that the past
Oh,
three
well
races
done.
yeah, three races we have observed some of those, but not for this one.
Well, we saw 2 in the previous split. And we're now inevitably going to see 1 in this split because you've opened your mouth. Come on,
We are
Wayhan.
live.
The commentator's curse is real. Then you've just opened up a whole can of worms. Look at this. Alistair Hawkins trying to find a way by. Warren Crowther and Callum Pratt running side by side in front of him. Crowther will dive up the inside and take the spot away. Hawkins will follow him through, and Pratt's going to lose.
Callum tried to look at it through the inside of Hawkins, but that did not exactly work out at all. Because great driving by drivers at this part of the field. This is positions 15 through to 18. It is led by Zane Hills, and these drivers are Crowther, Hawkins, and Callum Pratt.
That's Hills now coming under pressure. Crowther gets to his inside, down the back straight away. They rub doors as well for good measure, and Crowther's now got his nose slightly ahead. Can Hawkins follow him through like he did with Pratt? You know what, he can. Up the inside, but Hills doing a much better job on the outside, keeping that momentum up. Bit of a slide on the exit of the corner. Hurts his momentum a little bit, but still with the car up the inside on the preferred line. Alistair Hawkins follows Crowther through, and they now run 15th and 16th.
A little bit of mistake by Zane Hills, and this has kind of caused him to lose 2 positions to Crowther and Hawkins. Now, as we speak, Van Gisbergen is closing. Van Gisbergen and Vodanovic have closed the gap up towards Callum Hedge. So, of course, Hedge is a second, 1.1 seconds ahead of Vodanovic. And this is just going to make things a little bit more interesting as they begin to close the gap at this pointy end of the field.
You know, so Van Gisbergen's catching Vodanovic here, who's struggling a little bit for pace, and Hedge is actually driving away from them. Our director sells you some false information there, my friend. And Ryan Wood's going with them too. So Vodanovic is under a lot of pressure. Hedge will be as well if Van Gisbergen gets by Vodanovic here.
Because Shane putting all the pressure he can on Vodanovic. As of course, they're both also trying to, not only are they trying to close their gap with Callum Hedge, they're also trying to perhaps build a margin ahead of Wood, who sits in 5th. These are all important factors for drivers to consider.
There he is.
Van Gisbergen try to look along the inside. This is going to be them side by side, Van Gisbergen and Vodanovic. Of course, Vodanovic has the bit of a pace advantage. No slipstream at this point. Vodanovic beginning to close the door, going defensive along the inside, but Van Gisbergen tries to do that instead. And he is still stuck behind Vodanovic as they go around the final corner. Now Van Gisbergen goes along the outside. Is this going to be a side-by-side drag race between Van Gisbergen and Vodanovic? Attack down to turn 1. Van Gisbergen tries to close this along the outside. They nearly touch wheels there, but Van Gisbergen, brilliant driving along the outside. He secures 3rd position.
He tried to sell the dummy into the final corner, but Vodanovic wasn't buying it. And eventually got it done around the outside at turn 1, showing that supreme pace, and Ryan Wood follows through on the inside of turns 5 and 6. So Vodanovic loses 2 spots very quickly. Seems to be a common theme in this series that drivers, when they lose a spot, they lose 2 spots, not 1, very quickly. So P4, P5 now for SVG. Sorry, P3 and P4 for SVG and Ryan Wood. The gap between Hedge and Van Gisbergen is 1.5 seconds, 3.8 from Payne to Van Gisbergen. We'll see how much that closes up then over the rest of this race.
Vodanovic relegated to P5 as Wood followed through on that move. And not too far behind, Aaron Ivers also tried to get a piece of this. We have a look at Darren Lobb against Luigi Man McCutcheon. This is going to be really interesting as Lobb tries to make it work on McCutcheon. This is the battle for 9th. Of course, there is no reverse grid after this, as this is the final race. So every position gain is every advantage that these drivers will get. A bit of a bumper rubbing that Lobb gives to McCutcheon.
Fraser just got by Watson on the previous lap too to finally break himself of the shackles that Watson had him in. And now McCutcheon will be looking to try to follow him through, but he has got his hands full of Darren Lobb as well there now. So this is a very good little 4-way battle here. The P7 on the racetrack. They're 8 seconds off the lead of the race here on that 14 of 31, coming up to halfway. Remember, it's not a lap counted race, it's a timed race, but estimations say that after 33 minutes, they'll have completed 31 laps.
Halfway point, indeed. Darren Lobb still in P10. Of course, he did try to make things work with McCutcheon earlier on, but we also have a look at Watson trying to make it work with Fraser in front of him. Let's have a look down the inside, does Darren Lobb. Obviously, that did not exactly come into effect as the drivers are just not close enough to each other. Right-hander to the smooth left-hander. Notice the chicane on the right, that is the motorcycle layout. Not exactly used when you race cars here at Tsukuba.
I recall using it once and it was horrible.
Oh no!
It's not good for cars. I think it was actually Jay's fault that we were using it. I think it was. He definitely helps with that series that it was used in. If you ever wonder who's behind the scenes and was constantly laying into, it's Jay Kennedy, who runs another semi-decent broadcasting channel called SimSpeed. Jay, I don't know what to say about Jay, other than he does a lot of work and occasionally gets rewarded with time on the mic, but he's often relegated to the director's chair for SimSpeed and GSRC. And iRacing. He does a lot of work for iRacing. He's been behind the scenes on most of the professional events you've seen over the past couple of weeks, so I'm allowed to give him crap because he knows not much of it is true.
Whilst Jay and Ryan banter it in behind the scenes, it is Van Gisbergen coming under a bit of and Callum Hedge, of course, both of them going at it. This is a battle for P2. Van Gisbergen goes up to P2, and Wood in P4. It is going to be Wood's turn to perhaps take it on. Callum Hedge sending it along the inside of Hedge. Does Wood. Oh, this is quite an amazing move happening at this point, but Hedge goes for the comeback. We do hear an explosion in the background, and Hedge retakes 3rd position.
Trying to come back, but not quite getting there, Ryan Wood. And Hedge will claim that spot then. We'll get a replay up on screen. This is Zach Thompson. And that's the engine popping on the engine of turns 5 and 6. Too quick on the downshifts. And that thing lets go. He has to pull off and he has to tow back to pit lane. There is a 2.1 second gap between Payne and Van Gisbergen. I said it was 3.8 a couple laps ago. He is reeling him in.
We have 13 minutes of racing, rather 13 laps racing to go. So I think that is ample time for Van Gisbergen to close that gap. Oh wow, I think he's closed it down to 2 seconds, under 2 seconds, and yeah, just under 2 seconds. So yeah, it could be any time now that he would find himself reeling in towards Payne. Of course, Wood and Hedge still going at it. Both drivers trading positions for a few times over the last couple of laps. And is Wood going to go for a move? Does think of making, of course, a maneuver down the backstretch, but both drivers are at a Hedge holding the inside line extremely well here, holding on to his position, and he tries to go defensive, taking the inside line. But Wood sends it along the inside, side by side, cleaning off the move, wheel-to-wheel contact through turn 1.
The gap down to 1.7 seconds now. When he gets there, how does the battle unfold? Because how it unfolded in race 1 was a little bit controversial, with big contact putting Payne out into the fence. It'll be very interesting to see how it goes this time. On Lawson watch, where has he got up to? He's up to 11th place now, but he's got 8 seconds to the next car in front, Darren Lobb. And then it's Lobb, Watson, McCutcheon, Fraser very close together. So if he can close it in, there'll be a few spots up for grabs, but he's very far away at the moment.
Yeah, Lawson does look to have quite some damage on his car at this point. Been a tough race for him at this point. Wood in third. It would appear that Wood has gotten third, Hedge in fourth, and Vodanovic in fifth. This is a three-way battle. Vodanovic obviously being opportunistic, but locking up the brakes a little bit along the entry that kind of compromised his entry, but he compensates by having a good mid-corner and exit. Of course, behind Vodanovic is Ivers. He is also possibly looking to have a piece of the pie. Vodanovic goes a little bit wide through this left hairpin. And he does close up on Wood and Hedge in front. We do notice that Vodanovic, I'm sorry, Ryan.
Wood being pushed along by Callum Hedge now, with Vodanovic looking to gain, and Ivers Jack back there in the distance as well, trying to capitalise. So Ryan Wood's under a lot of pressure, and Hedge all over the back of him, gives him a shot through the turn 12, the final corner, and out onto the main straight they come. Does Wood have to defend? He's got a pretty decent gap this time by into turn 1. And Hedge isn't close enough to capitalise as a result. The gap out front is down to 1.3 seconds now. We'll keep our eyes here before they get any closer together. About turn 5, opportunity here, no. Look how much stronger Wood is on the brakes than, Hedge is on the brakes than Wood.
So this is fast shaping up to become a four-way battle pack. 10 laps to go at this point, or just under 10 minutes towards the end of the race. Who's that? Hedge along the inside, sends it into the inside. Contact between quarter panel and quarter panel. Wood down to 5th, Vodanovic up to 4th, but this is a drag race between Vodanovic and Wood. Wood regains the position, and well, look, they are just kind of feathering, touching their cars alongside each other. And a little bit of mistake. He gets a bad entry into the final right hander, which would probably cede P4 to Vodanovic.
Should do, but Wood's still going to fight back on the outside, trying to stay there. There's door-to-door contact, and they're 3 wide on the exit of the corner as Aaron Ivers tries to take some part in that battle. He couldn't capitalise. Wood comes back now with the inside line. will reclaim his rightful spot in P4 as Vodanovic hangs it out under sideways off the exit of turn 6. Go to the front though, because the gap is down to half a second. Matthew Payne has been reeled in by Shane van Gisbergen, and the battle will resume between the New Zealand KZ2 kiting champion and the 2016 Supercars champion.
Because Van Gisbergen has already built himself a huge margin ahead of third place Callum Hedge. A gap worth 5.5 seconds. So this is going to be a fight for the lead, an intense fight for the lead. Van Gisbergen taking whatever advantage he can find from Payne in order to make this overtaking move work. Contact bumper, around goes Payne and over. This is going to be quite dramatic here as a gentleman driving by Van Gisbergen, he returns the race lead to Payne. Of course, this is a perfect race sportsmanship at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't want to win it the way he did in race number 1, which I'm sure wasn't intentional, because I'm pretty sure these two are very good friends in real life. So we're looking forward to a good, clean battle with under 10 to go, 8 to go when we come to the stripe off the exit of this corner here. Not close enough for a move this time, but down the main straight. Here he comes. Does he go for the lunge? He shows the nose. Payne leaves the room, but he's not close enough to draw alongside. They were both very slow that lap as a result of the contact, and it's just 3 seconds back to Hedge now. If they keep this up, it may become a 3+ car battle out at the head of the field. As again, Van Gisbergen lurches closer through the corner, but the exit draws a margin for Payne.
Just about 9 minutes to go. Of course, when you are battling for the lead, of course, a consideration that you have to keep in mind is that I guess the more you kind of battle with whatever car that is around you, you do kind of risk losing the advantage you have ahead of the cars behind you, meaning that the cars behind you could perhaps creep on you as your battle might cause you to go to kind of lose a bit of pace. Making good use of the exit curb here. I think it's always nice to have such a wide exit curb here as Tsukuba. Along the inside goes Van Gisbergen. He sends it along the inside. Contact with Payne, but he makes it work. Van Gisbergen, your new race leader, and Payne down to P2.
Contact again at the head of the field. Just sent it in a bit too deep, did Van Gisbergen, which resulted in the contact as he made that move, and Payne couldn't defend it after it was made. So Van Gisbergen to the head as behind they battle away for 4th place. Aaron Ivers up the inside of Callum Hedge now for the penultimate corner. Should be able to take this one away, but he's got to watch out on the exit for the crossover move, which Hedge gets back to the inside, gets the run and clears him by the time they get to the exit.
Brilliant move by Hedge. He goes to P4 and he is ahead of... Alright, I think he retakes P4. Now, of course, with just a couple of minutes to go before the end of the race, Hedge's gap behind Wood would be 4 to 5/10 of a second. They come upon the hairpin, and this is a good... Oh! Hard into the rear bumper of Wood goes Hedge, but this does not unsettle Wood. Wood still holds on to 3rd, Hedge still in 4th. And this is kind of re-equalized the order of the sequence of things by a fair bit.
Oh, check the slide. A tank slapper for Aaron Ivers. Coming out of turn 6, he had that thing out of control. He managed to gather it up, but he lost a lot of time and a spot to Vodanovic for his trouble. So he now drops out of the top 5 as Hedge throws it up the inside of Ryan Wood up there in the foreground and takes it away with no response from Wood.
Here comes Ivers alongside Vodanovic. He is going to take the outside line. He has a speed advantage, but not a positional advantage. Who's that who's going out? Wood has gone out. And this is going to end Wood's contention for
Oh,
the
Lob.
podium position.
Lob had a scary moment there when he saw Hedge back out on the racetrack right in front of him to jump on the brakes and avoid him. We'll take a look at a replay of the incident then between Wood and Hedge. There was the big dive at turn 11, which guarded him as the position, and it all unfolded down here at the end of the backstretch. Wood with the run, trying to come back at him. They were side by side behind too, but they just came together on the entry, with Wood spinning to the left and Hedge to the right. I think they both kept it off the fence. And then there's Lob having to avoid Hedge as he rejoined the racetrack.
Back to live pictures, as this is Ivers, your new driver in third position. He leads this pack of 3-4 cars of Ivers, Vodanovic, McCutcheon, and Fraser. Of course, Luigi and Mario, we all love those paint schemes.
Certainly do, and they might be on with a chance of another podium here, one of these drivers, as Ivers tries to fend off Vodanovic, and then comes Luigi and Mario there in 5th and 6th places. That's a slow car. That's Ryan Wood finally trying to link back into pit lane, having to do a whole lap of the circuit before he could get down into the pits. Of course, remember, it does say Tanya Wood, but it is Ryan Wood at the wheel of that machine, the Toyota 86 racer. That Porsche safety car not going to be needed today.
That is McCutcheon going so close to the rear bumper of Vodanovic. Did not come into contact, so that's very good. Along the backstretch, this is a huge tow that Ivers is offering all the 3 drivers behind them. Ivers goes a little bit deep, but Vodanovic goes a little bit slow upon entry, and this means that McCutcheon might have the most advantage through this corner. So Vodanovic going defensive along the inside. McCutcheon switched out to the outside, but they're now going to the middle of the corner. A bit of bumper contact and a bit of stuttering by Ivers.
Just 3 laps to go out here for round 6 of the 2K Cup Sunday iRacing League here on the Global SimRacing Channel. From Tsukuba Circuit in Japan today. It's comfortable margin for Van Gisbergen out front from Payne. The battle is back behind them for 3rd, for 4th and 5th, with Ivers starting to edge out from Vodanovic, who's probably more under pressure than he is applying pressure in front, with McCutcheon all over his back bumper.
So whilst this battle is ongoing, the positions as they stand at this point, they look very much different from how the positions were closer towards the start of this race. Gisbergen leading the race with Payne in second. Ivers, Vodanovic, McCutcheon, and Fraser in this 4-car pack. They take positions 3 to 6. Lob and Watson, Dunstall, and Smith, they round up your top 10 at this point in time.
I don't think McCutcheon's close enough to make a move. He just can't get that extra half a car length he needs to be able to move up the inside of Peter Vodanovic here, and he can't send it from that far back because there'll be contact and it won't end very well for either of those drivers. So he really needs to find a bit more pace over the next lap and a bit. A mistake from Vodanovic might help him though, but the mistake does warrant a really good exit as a result, and that's going to hinder McCutcheon anything more than it helped him. He's actually dropped a couple car lengths now down this back straight away, as they're going to come through the final corner and see that white flag for one more lap in Tsukuba. All over the back of Vodanovic. Is he close? Has he got that last little bit that he needs to make a move trying to set himself up through turns 5 and 6 to close up to the rear bumper. He's closer than he was last lap. If Vidanovic makes a mistake, he's going to be in a lot of trouble here because Nikuchina's right there now, right in his toe. Does he go for the lunge? Turn 11, he shows the nose, tries to force an error. Vidanovic is wary to it and won't lose out. As a result, he's comfortable now into turn 12. Out front, even more comfortable, Shane Van Gisbergen is going to pick up both race wins here at Tsukuba. A great drive to take out race 1 and race 2 of the 2K Cup. Matthew Payne comes across in second. Aaron Ivers will claim the last step on the podium. We'll go to a break in the Global SimRacing Channel then, and when we come back, we'll go through the results and have some interviews with our winners at the other side of Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel. To the 2K Cup, the race concluded. The results on your screen. This is how they finished. Shane van Gisbergen went back-to-back to take out race number 2. And Matthew Payne came across in second place at the line. Third went the way of Aaron Ivers, Peter Vodanovic in fourth, Matt McCutcheon in fifth, Billy Fraser, Darren Lobb, sixth and seventh. James Watson coming home in eighth, ahead of Sam Dunstall and Matthew Smith, your top 10.
Coming home in 11th would be Alistair Hawkins, and Matt Stevens comes home in 12th. Warren Crowther in 13th, John Midgley in 14th. Thomas Paul and Callum Pratt come home in 15th and 16th. Zane Hills and Jordan Michels, 17th and 18th. James Anderson and Brandon Brownie come home in 19th and 20th.
See the rest of the results scroll through on your screen. We are going to have a chat to Billy Fraser, coming home in 6th place in the second one, third in race number 1. Going to be reasonably happy with those results.
Yeah, really, definitely happy. Big improvement after Charlotte last weekend. In the last race last weekend, I spun myself out, but yeah, this time Team Mario kept it all inconsistent, and yeah, it was great to come home with the podium in race 1 today.
Talk us through the racing out there then, because it was a very tight track, is Tsukuba, and a lot of cars out there. Really hard to make moves work, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I only made 2 on-track overtakes without apart from all the carnage. But yeah, looking at my relative, the margins kept constant. But it just meant the racing was intense. You had to make your overtakes count, and I think that's what I did good tonight.
So did a very good job of it. And how much preparation goes into this series for you then? Obviously, you run around in New Zealand Formula Ford and do quite well in that in real life, and you come over to the sim. Quite different car as well. How much preparation do you put into this series?
Yeah, it's that's a good question. I think definitely Sunday's focus for a lot of people is definitely the 2K Cup Series League. So yeah, this afternoon was sort of solely focused for that, and we this is a Team Mario. We did some race practice, then we did some starts, we did some qualifying times, and yeah, it was Sunday's definitely 2K Cup day.
We heard about the big event coming up, the 6-hour race. Can we expect that you're going to have a Team Mario car lined up on that grid?
Yeah, well, that's the plan. We're working through that now, but yeah, really excited for the Bathurst 6-hour, hopefully.
All right. Well, hopefully we can you can get a Mario car on the grid, and we can call it in the race. Before I let you go, do you want to give anyone any shout outs or sponsors?
Yeah, just thanks to the 2K Cup League for putting this on, Asparco Gaming, and yeah, just everyone who made the event possible, and yeah, made it really enjoyable in these sort of tough times.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Good job today, and good luck for the future.
Great. Thanks, guys.
That was Billy Fraser, 6th place today in a podium in race 1. And now Wei Han is standing by with Sam Dunstall.
Hi, Sam. Congrats for coming home 9th in the race today. Of course, do understand that you came 13 positions ahead of where you began from, so that is an extremely remarkable performance. Now, I think perhaps, and before coming to this race, it is Tsukuba circuit that we have raced at today. It's one of those places which it would kind of prove rather challenging to the drivers, and as perhaps we've seen the outcome of some of the racing action tonight. What are your thoughts of racing at a place like this and with a car like this, given the style of racetrack? This is extremely short and tight for everyone.
Yeah, well, it poses quite a few interesting challenges especially compared to what we have been running, like the Charlotte Roval and whatnot. I wasn't one of the fastest out there, that's for sure. Got a horrible qualifying, but we managed to bounce back in the second race. It's interesting. I was expecting more lap traffic to be an issue. Obviously, I couldn't experience that in the first race because I was the lap traffic basically. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. It gave us a lot of laps to practice as well, since they're so short.
It's great to hear. Now we do have Bathurst 6 hours that might come up sometime in the future. So, what are your thoughts as we head to that?
Quite excited. Quite excited for that race. Team Mario, as Billy said, Team Mario's in the works, jacking up something there. So we'll see, because it's three driver lineup. So we'll have a couple teams in there probably. So yeah, it should be fun.
Fantastic. Before we let you go, would there be anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just shout out to the league and to my team as well. I know if I was in that top 10 battle the whole time, they would have been there to help me out. So unfortunately we weren't, but yeah, thank you to the league. They once again held some good fun.
Awesome. So that was Sam Dunstall. Ryan, look, I think we've kind of witnessed a remarkable total of 4 races that have taken place at Tsukuba circuit. No, I think this is one of those extraordinary races where we do see the possibilities of even with so many cars at one place, racing action can take place, and in fact can take place well.
We certainly did, and we certainly will next week as well when we go to Suzuka. And we'll wrap things up for tonight. Thank you to our sponsors, Store Right Logistics, Cream Insurance, and IQ Security, and the organisers over at 2K Cup for putting this whole event on. Thanks to the companies that also provide the software and the hardware for all of our broadcasts, which are listed there on your screen, along with how you can get a hold of Gina Londe, who provides all of our music. Thanks to the team with me today, Jay and Wayhan. If you want to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com or check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. We've got plenty other races coming up. You can check them out. Mark them down on your calendar. They're on your screen now. From all of us here on the booth, thank you for joining us. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.